Well, if you want to see, hi, everybody. I didn't know that we were so excited to get started on a Tuesday morning Carton Show. Great to have you here. If you want to see bad football last night, we gave you bad football. The Raiders and the Green Bay Packers. It is Tuesday morning. It is time for Tuesday morning headlines. Well, the Vegas Raiders do what Jimmy Garoppolo does frequently, and that's win UGLY. You ain't got no alibi, because that's what they did. 17-13, overcoming ridiculously bad coaching on their own sideline. But Jordan Love handed them a victory on a silver platter with not one, not two, but 3 interceptions last night. And somewhere in Detroit, Jared Goff and his hot fiance were having a grand night watching the Green Bay Packers.
You always bring up this fiance. If there's anything consistent, when you talk about Jared Goff, you're going to drop the fiance.
Yeah, but at this point, they're married with kids. I don't even know. But bad football last night.
Bad football, last night felt like a filler. It was ugly, man. Nevertheless, if you're the Green Bay Packers, they don't have an identity to offense. The bottom line, they miss Aaron Jones. They had one explosive play to Watson. Jordan Love throws 3 picks. And, they didn't get enough out of A.J. Dillon to have an impact. And nevertheless, if you're the Green Bay Packers, man, if you're LaFleur, you got your hands tied. You got to figure how to get Jordan Love to play better and be better for that offense for the Packers to have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it boils down to. And that was going to be the big question for them all year. What is Jordan Love? We just didn't know. He got off to a good start. The first week, even 2 weeks in, looked like he had command of the offense. But last night, threw for 180 yards. 3 picks, no touchdowns, and the Green Bay Packers only scored 13 points against a defense that you can score points against.
Not all picks are made equal. Like, one of them went off some hands.
That's true.
Here, but one of them, he's staring down a linebacker. Like, if he was a receiver, I'd be like, Jordan Love, like, don't stare down a receiver like that. He's staring him down and just throws him the ball. Like, when you're watching at home, it didn't even look right.
Well, we got a little bit more on that game, including a mind-bogglingly stupid coaching decision by Josh McDaniels that ultimately didn't cost them the game, but very well could have. That's coming up a little bit later on in the show. Your second headline, you can hear it. Put your ear to the TV screen right now in Nebraska. You can hear it loud and clear. It's Dallas Cowboy fans panicked right now after the beatdown they took at the hands of San Francisco. But good news, Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy's been on the sideline for many a big loss. And yesterday he said, here's the good news. A loss like that gives us all the opportunity to grow.
Yeah, but which direction, right? That's the problem. That's the issue right now. When you watch the Dallas Cowboys, this was supposed to be one of the biggest games of the year, and this was an absolute dud. And it was a dud from the standpoint that, you could talk about Dak and his woes, but this defense underperformed, right? Like, Micah Parsons was neutralized. We was talking about this man being the heir apparent to who? Lawrence Taylor.
Bang!
Never say that, never have that statement. Like, let's not even talk about that again right now.
Right,
Micah Parsons was you can't even find him on field. On top of Stefon Diggs, you missed him, but overall, the defense couldn't do anything with the San Francisco 49ers.
Not just that, the Dallas Cowboys have only played one team with a winning record, and that was San Francisco, and you saw what happened to them on Sunday night. It was not pretty. Much more on the Cowboys and where they go from here coming up a little later on in the show. Your third and final headline this morning, Bill Belichick on Sunday said, we're starting over. A reporter said, what does that mean? He says it means we're starting over. Yesterday, Bill Belichick said, quote, I'm going to do the best I can to help our football team. It's almost like the beginning of his retirement speech.
That's exactly
as the 1-4 Patriots are not going to get any better. Why? They don't have a quarterback. They don't have wide receivers. They don't have a tight end. They don't have a running attack. And their defense, which was good, now is missing 2 of their best players.
Yeah, it's getting ugly when supposedly execs in the building are now talking anonymously, right? Like, they're talking about Bill.
I love it.
They're talking about
the more
Bill.
rats on that ship, the better.
They're talking about Bill behind the curtain, man, and it's getting ugly. And when Bill made the comment saying, like, hey, I'm willing to start over, I'm going to start over, I was like, are you sure it's going to be with the Patriots?
It ain't going to be with them. Robert Kraft's like, we're starting over, but it ain't going to be with you, kid. We're going to go get the best college coach out there. We're going to hire him, and you're done in New England, and the rest of America celebrates, because screw him and all of his success with 6 Super Bowl championships in New England. We got a great show for you today. Plaxico Burress is going to join us a little bit later on, but right after this, Mike McCarthy saying no reason for concern, meaning lots of reason for concern in Dallas right after this. All right, so the Dallas Cowboys still reeling from the beatdown at the hands of the San Francisco 49ers. Mike McCarthy, who's been on the wrong end of a lot of those games in his career, says there's no cause for concern after the embarrassing loss. Here's Coach McCarthy yesterday. Go ahead, boys.
Well, I would not say I'm concerned or worried at all. I think these are opportunities to grow, no doubt about it. I mean, I think adversity gives you a tremendous look inside and makes you answer more questions and to make sure you got the right answers.
Here's the problem with adversity, boys. The cliche goes like this. Oh, adversity builds character. It doesn't. Adversity reveals character.
Yeah.
And here's the problem. When you talk about the Dallas Cowboys' failure to get even to an NFC championship game, let alone a Super Bowl, what's the number one reason? Dak Prescott. Mm-hmm. Well, against the best team they've played all year, not solely him, but what was one of, if not the number one problem for the Dallas Cowboys?
The defense.
You're supposed to say Dak. You're supposed to say Dak Prescott
yes,
right there.
and Willie.
Yeah, the defense is there too.
It is.
But my point is this.
But Craig, you understand my steel of heart.
Yeah, I know.
What won us the Super Bowl?
Defense.
We weren't good from an offensive line standpoint. We didn't get good till late in the season. So when I look at this Dallas defense, I'm saying you're going to be the problem. I know who Dak is. Like, you can't convince me who Dak is right now. I think he's a worthy quarterback. Is he an elite quarterback right now?
He is not.
No, he's not.
I agree.
But is he a quarterback that can win you games? 100%.
Yes, here's the problem.
I'm about the defense.
Yes, he can win you games when you play the Giants, when you play the Jets a few weeks ago, when you play the Patriots a couple of weeks ago. They couldn't beat the Cardinals, even if I want to say kick that one out, that's an outlier. Yeah. The only, and I'm saying this with my Jets in mind, the only good team they've played all year is San Francisco. Only team with a winning record. If I'm Mike McCarthy, deep down inside, I have to be concerned.
Yes.
Because this was the test. This was the barometer. It's one thing to lose when you're competitive and you're in the ball game the whole way through. They got waxed in that game, and that's got to be concerning to Mike McCarthy.
I do believe that adversity can help you grow. I do believe there's lots of room to improve. I do believe that this tape will teach them a lot. The part that I disagree with Mike McCarthy on is the cause for concern part. Because you guys are talking about whether or not it's Dak or Micah, the offense or the defense. It's everything. It's coaching. It's special team. This was a complete domination in all facets of the ball. And it really revealed a lot about who these Cowboys are. Maybe the Arizona Cardinals loss meant more than we thought it did. They've got the Chargers, Rams, Eagles coming up. They could lose all those.
Well, and that's the crazy thing. You're talking about a team that, they're 3-1. Oh, here we go. Let's see what they do against San Francisco. And now all of a sudden we're saying, well, wait a minute. They just suffered a bad loss to the best team in football. And now, according to Jacoby, who makes a good point, you could actually predict, and you could be right or wrong on it, that they lose to the Chargers because the Chargers offense is going to put 30 on them. Yep. That they after the bye, the Rams are playing very good football right now. The Eagles might be the second best team in all of football. That you may not get another win until you play the lowly Giants in Week 10. That's on the table.
Yeah, but Craig, when somebody says there's room for growth, who are they really talking about?
Children.
They're talking about themselves, right? Because if you look at the game Sunday against the Niners for the Cowboys, they were predictable. When Dak was under center, they were running the ball. When Dak was in the shotgun, they were throwing the ball. The Niners is like, we're varsity, bro. Like, this is all varsity. There were no motions, right? We sit here week after week and talk about what does Tua talking about lower and the Miami Dolphins. They hit you over the head with motions. They're shifting the defense.
What are the Niners doing?
What are the Niners doing? They're motioning guys. Dak wants to run the ball. I'm going to be on the center. If I want to throw the ball, I'm going to sit.
So
they're so elementary right now.
I think that's a very good point that the Dallas Cowboy offense under Mike McCarthy has become, that's the key word there, very predictable. Here's my question. And I don't claim to be the smartest guy in the world. But if you're sitting on your couch with a hand in a bag of Fritos, and God knows where the other hand is, it's a family program, don't tell us. I know mine's simply down my pants. But that's another story. Yeah, right? Because I'm comfortable at home.
It's your house.
And you can watch the game on TV going, oh, he's under center, it's a run. Oh, he's in the shotgun, it's a pass. Clearly San Francisco or any opponent has the ability to do that. Why would Mike McCarthy not change that?
Because this is the same offense he ran in Green Bay when Aaron Rodgers himself said, I'm not happy with the offense because it's benign, it's boring, we're not getting anywhere. I'm supposed to be the MVP, the guy who muscles up next to Tom Brady, and we seem predictable. And we all laughed at Aaron and said, you're being too harsh. You guys went to the Super Bowl. And Aaron's like, no, I know what I'm doing. And he went over to Dallas, and he wasn't calling it because it was Kellen's offense. Now he's in this role where he's calling the offense, and you watch Sunday's game, you're like, man, Aaron Rodgers wasn't lying a couple years ago.
Right.
I know what they're doing. I'm sitting on the couch next to you. It's extremely predictable.
Yeah, listen, if you're predictable, you lose. 100%. I mean, at this level of football, because there's somebody who's paying attention, who watches film, who on the sideline goes, guys, it's like playing poker. It's
like this.
If you always blink when you have aces and you blink, I know you've got a good hand, right? It's the exact same thing. So I think, I respect Mike McCarthy can't claim the sky is falling and panic right now. Their season's in the balance.
100%.
Because like you said, Jacoby, the next 3 weeks, look, they're all winnable games. Yeah. They're all losable games,
1 and 2 seems normal for those 3.
Yeah, meaning you're a 500 football team going into essentially the second half of the season. And now, look, to be fair, there's not an easy out other than the Giants and the Panthers in back-to-back weeks, 10 and 11. Seattle's good. Eagles great. Bills, Dolphins, Detroit, even the Commandos. Now, the upside for me, for the Dallas Cowboys, is the fact that you haven't played a divisional game other than week 1 when you blew out the Giants. So you can right the ship quick, and as long as you win those divisional games, you're going to be a playoff team. It's all going to be all right.
But you got to talk about this week's matchup, right? And we talked about how Nathaniel Hackett Bowl versus Sean Payton. Well, we got another bowl coming up.
Kellen Moore.
It's Kellen Moore and McCarthy. Why? Because this is what Kellen Moore is doing to the Chargers. He's averaging 5 points more than what the Chargers were doing without him. You know what I mean? So the offense in L.A. for the Chargers is better. And you're talking about Mike McCarthy right now. Right now, the offense of what we saw Sunday night is not only predictable, it's benign, and Dak Prescott looks like he's drowning within the offense, which is crazy because this is supposed to be offense, supposed to be dink and dunk. Get the ball out quick. Let your placemakers make the play.
Did Pollard play? Did Pollard play?
Yeah, he was on the field. Yeah,
did he play?
He barely.
I didn't see him in the game.
I didn't see a lot of Deuce Vaughn, but I did see Tony Pollard.
Well, you saw him.
To be fair, he's also a tiny guy. Anyway, we got much more coming your way. We got that question at the bottom of your screen. Can the Jets win? The answer's already yes. These are such silly questions. Why are you asking such dumb questions? Plus, Alvin Kamara says something about the Saints you have to hear. First, the football's coming up right after this. Hey, by the way, speaking of baseball, guys, the Phillies have never lost a postseason series to the Braves. They're up 1-0 in Atlanta last night for Game 2. Down a run, 9th inning. Bryce Harper on first base, 1 out, and watch what happens to end the game for the Atlanta Braves. Play it, boys.
He deals a 2-2. Castellanos in the air to right center field. Harris is on the run. Harris at the track. He leaps. He makes the catch. Harper might be doubled up. The throw gets away. The throw. It's over.
Oh, baby.
A game-ending 8-5-3 double play.
The old walk-off 8-5-3.
And I got to tell you, the third baseman backing up the shortstop there to get the errant throw. What's his name?
Austin Riley.
Whatever you say, Austin Riley or something like that, makes the play. I don't even blame Bryce Harper because if that ball hits the wall, it's a tie game. That series is tied 1-1. That was a great call, a great ending to a playoff baseball game. And as Jacoby just said, more playoff baseball on Fox tonight as the division series continues as we work our way towards a World Series champion. But of course, right now, our focus is football. And Jacoby's got you first. And football.
First and football, we start with that team, the Buffalo Bills. They got beat by the Jaguars and did not look good. So I have a question for Stefon Diggs. Did you feel like there was a lack of urgency in that game for the Bills, Stefon?
100%. Like, I felt like on the sideline, I kind of felt it a little bit. And I went on the field and I was just, echoing sense of urgency. Get out of the huddle. Let's have that mindset. We have it in practice and we try to build off of it in the game. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be easier.
Okay. So you listen to Stefon there.
Yeah.
The question for you is this. I blame this Bills debacle on the travel schedule.
Oh, no, don't do it.
Is this a travel problem or is there more to this loss for the Bills?
Well, I think it's twofold. I think travel's got to be a part of it because Jacksonville was out there for 3 weeks. They're used to the time and all that, and the Bills didn't go out there till 2 days before, so they didn't get totally acclimated to it. It's also a Jaguar problem, right? The Jacksonville Jaguars figured out for at least one afternoon how to curtail this high-flying flying Bills offense. So as much as it's easy in Buffalo, and I don't blame you, if I was a Bills fan living in Buffalo, I'd blame the travel also. I'd blame the NFL for setting up a situation that wasn't even playing field. One team's been there, I got to fly out there, et cetera, et cetera. But you do have to give the Jaguars some credit.
Exactly.
Not only did they throttle the Bills offense for about 53 minutes of that game.
They held 7 points up into the third quarter.
But not just that. In the final 5 minutes, as the Bills all of a sudden discovered their offense, going no huddle, and you're speeding things up, the Jaguars answered.
Yes.
Because the Bills had a chance in their last 5 or 6 minutes to really, quote-unquote, steal the W when their offense all of a sudden started clicking and Diggs scored that touchdown. But the Jags answered. So you got to give Jacksonville credit. They saved their season out in London by beating Atlanta and then beating Buffalo. My concern, though, Willie, is trying to figure out the Bills. It's like a time warp kind of thing. After week 1 against the Jets, it's over.
Yeah.
Josh Allen stinks. McDermott's got to go. Then they have 3 straight games where their offense is unstoppable. Their defense plays really well. Woo!
Shut down the
They're
Dolphins.
back.
Shut down the Dolphins.
Yeah, all right. They own the AFC East now. They put 48 up against the Dolphins. They held the Dolphins to 20. The Bills are back. And then they throw out that dud against the Jaguars. And now a lot of us are back to trying to figure out what exactly are the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I don't blame the travel because they practiced twice at home, and even they thought they cracked the code because they were waking the players up at 2:30 locally, so they can kind of stay on top of their sleep.
So keep travel out of it for
So
now.
that's not it. But also, Stefon Diggs had 121 catches as his career high, and plus the touchdowns, so it didn't affect him. The problem is Josh Allen didn't play well for 3 quarters up into the last drive, the last 5 minutes. This is about Josh Allen. He didn't play well. The inconsistency is with him. It's not with the offense. The offense, we had a Gabe Davis side. We always talk about, where's Gabe Davis?
He played well.
He played well. So Stefon played well. Gabe Davis played well. James Cook came off a little bit. But nevertheless, Josh Allen didn't play well enough
why
to
don't we
carry
go
the team.
one step further than that? They lost arguably their best defensive player. Milano goes out, and now he's out for the season. Von Miller only played, I think it was 20 snaps total.
He's on a
in his first game back, obviously. They're going to use him that much. And give Jacksonville credit. When the Bills made their play, when they made their run, we learned a lot, I think, about the Jacksonville offense. They didn't panic. They didn't suddenly.
They did have 2 fumbles.
But they made a big play to Calvin Ridley when they needed it to eventually seal the win.
Well, they're moving the ball with Ridley. They're also moving the ball with Etienne. Etienne had a couple huge runs in that fourth quarter.
35-yarder.
That just broke the game wide open. And as the Bills guy here, I'm going to say this Matt
Which
Milano
sucks,
thing,
by the way. We're not happy.
This Matt Milano thing is very serious.
Yeah.
Like, he's out for the year. He was the straw that stirs the drink for that defense. In running plays, passing plays, he's everywhere on the field. They're going to be really, really not the same team.
Hey, can you guys do me a favor from now on when we reintroduce everybody here at the desk? Can you put a little thing in front of Jacoby that just says Bills guy?
Bills guy.
I don't know. Why are we,
like a nameplate right here.
You've got a championship belt in front of you with the Jets on it.
Because I'm a Jet fan.
Yeah,
you're not a Bills fan.
No, die easy Bills.
Yeah, but you're adopting the Bills.
When they start losing, I jump off the bandwagon.
He is like that. He is like that. I'm just saying, like, who's your real team, though?
I don't have Moving on to second down. Your team.
Yes!
And Alan Lazard praised Zach Wilson in the wake of their big win in Denver. Here's what the wide receiver said about the former backup quarterback.
I thought he did a great job, and for him to be able to kind of bounce back these past 2 weeks and just show him his true self and his ability at quarterback, because he's super talented, was great to see. Now, I think I give a lot of credit to Hackett as well. The play calls and the design of the plays of just putting Zach in the best position to be successful.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's all well and good when you play the Broncos. Now they play the Eagles.
Yeah.
Well, can Zach Wilson stay hot against the Eagles?
I mean, listen, the Eagles are going to be the toughest task they have right now with this newfound confidence that Zach Wilson has, throwing over 70% like the rock star that he is. Over 200 yards a game, not great, but good enough. And, of course, that passer rating inching closer and closer to 100, which he's never had in his lifetime, dating back to high school.
You need to be that man's agent. You know how to sell him.
Yeah, I'm trying.
You know how to sell Zach Wilson.
I'm trying. I'm more concerned with my vaunted defense. Like, the Jets' offense is not going to score 30 points against anybody, and they didn't against the Denver Broncos. Remember, the last touchdown came on the scoop and score on the Russell Wilson fumble. But, part of our defense is being exposed a little bit. Zach Wilson is what he is. Is he going to stay hot? Yeah. But if hot is 200 yards and a touchdown,
keep shooting, kid.
It's not like he threw for 390 and 5 scores, and you're asking me, is that going to continue? You're saying, will he complete 15 passes? Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
I think it's in that. He's a little baby. It's so sad. I think it's in that range. But just previewing the game that you're talking about, Sunday afternoon on Fox 425, Jets and Eagles. Jets have never beaten the Eagles. Historically, never, 0. I'm concerned about the Jet defense because one of the things that the Eagles do really well is expose weaknesses in the defense with Jalen Hurts running the ball. And if you watch that game against the Denver Broncos, they had great success when Russell Wilson took it and went.
Mahomes too.
Yeah, Mahomes too. So I want to figure out how we're going to change our defensive mindset and have a guy key on Jalen Hurts solely for him running the ball. Because the Jets defense will be the best defense, in my opinion, that the Eagles have played this year. So we're going to see how good that Eagle defense is against the best part of our team.
Yeah, the bottom line, the boys got to thicken up this week, right? Yeah. They got a heavy load with that Eagles offensive line because they get busy. But bottom line, on top of that, one of the things I thought we failed at defending a scrambling quarterback and starting against the Chiefs, we don't know how to keep that quarterback in the pocket, right? We don't rush as a unit, and we didn't have a spy on a Patrick Mahomes. We didn't even have a spy on Russell Wilson. That's why Russell started cooking in the first half. Right. Now you got Jalen Hurts, who is a running quarterback. They're going to have to put a spy on him for this defense to be successful against the Eagles. On top of that, if you're Quentin Jefferson and you're some Quentin Williams and you're talking about Al Woods and some of these beef eaters up front, you got to show up, man, because now you're putting a lot of onus on Quincy Williams and C.J. Mosley to be run beaters, and that can't happen because they're just too big up front. So Saleh's got his hands full. It's going to be a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles do have the best offensive line by far in football, with Lane Johnson on the right side and Kelsey in the middle. They are that good. And they do a lot of things, and they kind of impose their will on defensive lines.
They lean on you.
But that's also the strength of our team. Right now, our secondary is going to be banged up still. Not sure yet about Eccles, and not sure about DJ Reed or the concussion 2 weeks ago. But it's going to be an interesting battle because their strength versus our strength. In regards to Zach Wilson, again, I'm his biggest fan. But let's not say that he's hot.
But you got to help him too, Carton. Like we talk about Garrett Wilson, right, who I think does need more targets and catches. But we got Alan Lazard, who had 3 catches that game for 33
one of those
yards.
catches was huge when he got both feet in bounds to get a first down.
All right,
significant catch.
But this is a man that was brought here to do what? Catch the ball and be a factor, right? Like the kid, you got to say, Alan Lazard was cut from the Jacksonville Jaguars. He landed in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers made him a stud. Will continue to be the stud here. Even though Aaron's not in the lineup, you need more touches.
Yeah, but don't forget, we still haven't seen the New York Jets start and finish a game with all the handcuffs and training wheels off Zach Wilson. He doesn't throw the ball 40 times a game.
Correct.
So let's see what they do. And obviously we got a rock star running back that we're going to rely on heavily this point forward, which only makes a young quarterback better and more confident. And I like it. And the New York Jets are going to upset the Philadelphia Eagles.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'll put it up on the board later today.
Moving on to third down, and we're going to talk a lot about the Patriots side of the 34-0 loss. But right now, let's focus on the Saints, who put it together to put that 34-0 loss on the Patriots. Alvin Kamara is back, and here's what he said about the Saints team.
We can score at will, right? And we can stay ahead of the chains and limit the penalties and the self-inflicted wounds. So when you can do that in this offense, man, the possibilities are really endless. And like I said, with the playmakers we have, there's enough for everybody. And then as a team, as a whole, I mean, when the defense is doing what they're doing, it can get ugly.
Are the Saints putting it all together, as Kamara said, or did they just play the Patriots?
Yeah, I mean, I vote for number 2, Bob. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys thought they were the best team in football because they beat the New England Patriots, right? This is a product of beating a bad team. New Orleans is good. I think everybody in America, because Derek Carr is there, picked the Saints to win the division and to win it handily. Carr hurts the shoulder. Oh, my God, what's going to happen? Jameis Winston couldn't get the job done. Whew. Derek Carr comes right back. Offense is clicking again. But let's not overreact to putting a 34 bone on top of the New England Patriots who don't compete, right? Go out there and beat some really good teams, and then we'll worry about how good the Saints offense is ultimately going to be.
Well, I mean, Pete Carmichael, the offensive coordinator, has done a great job, right? He's allowed a lot of more motions, play action runs. He has some red zone creativity, so they look like a good outfit. I got to give credit to Alvin Kamara. He's broken the Saints' all-time touchdown record, right, at 73. You know who had it before him?
Who?
Marcus Colston, the pride of Hofstra. Shout out Hofstra. Let's go, baby. But nevertheless, I like this Saints offense. They're legit. They just got to stay healthy. Health is the key to this offense. If Michael Thomas, you talk about Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, if these guys can all start working up something with Derek Carr, this can be.
Yeah, but I'd also say this to Alvin Kamara, and I know he missed the first 4 games because he attacked that guy in the elevator.
I don't know if it was an attack.
Vegas. No, it was an attack. Is what that was.
I saw the video too.
They scored 16 points against Tennessee. They scored 20 points against the lowly Carolina Panthers, and now, of course, they beat New England. They lost to Green Bay, as you're blowing that big lead, and they lost to Tampa, where they only scored 9 points. So you can talk all the smack you want about all the weapons we got and how our offense is unstoppable. Go back and look at the scores of the games you played and who you've beaten and who you struggled against. And if I may say this, slow your roll.
Oh, okay.
You ain't that good.
There's some other teams in that division that are playing better than we expected, and they're
Tampa number one. That's right.
Exactly. Moving on to 4th down. Colts rookie quarterback Anthony Richardson is hurt. He's got an AC problem in his shoulder.
What?
The Colts are a surprising 3-2. Can Gardner Minshew keep the Colts rolling while Richardson is out?
For the sake of the audience, no. Let's move on.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Take us to break.
Coming up, Jamar Chase is the smartest guy.
I have something here for it. I know you want to see it.
Jamar Chase is the smartest guy in all of football. Are the Cincinnati Bengals officially back? And I'm being told we have breaking news right after the break on the health of Justin Jefferson, meaning it ain't good. Next. All right, great news for the New York Jets. Justin Jefferson is out for the next 4 weeks. He's on the IR with that hamstring injury from this past weekend. That essentially puts a full-on cap on the Minnesota Vikings season, unfortunately, after making the playoffs last year, and everybody's celebrating the resurgence of Kirk Cousins. Arguably the best wide receiver in football is now done for the next month with that hamstring injury. Why do I bring it up? Well, that makes Kirk Cousins even more tradable now for a Minnesota team with only 1 win, trying to rebuild for the future. They have a first-round draft pick this year. Maybe it's the number 1 overall pick, and they get Caleb Williams. I don't know. But I know this. With all the positive talk that the New York Jets have right now, with Zach Wilson winning a game against the Denver Broncos, now is the time to pounce. The Vikings are done. Their best player's out for a month and only have 1 win with him anyway. Go get Kirk Cousins. Get the deal done today. And Kirk Cousins is my starting quarterback against the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday afternoon. It makes sense. The Vikings at this point have to sell him because he's not coming back next year. And now officially, you have nothing to play for. Let's go get Kirk Cousins.
By your logic, you're now saying Zach Wilson bye-bye forever. And you're okay with that. You just sat here 20 minutes and talked about how Zach Wilson can possibly beat the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
And he's going to lead this offense to kind of dethrone Jalen Hurts, who's currently undefeated.
I mean, that's my hope.
That's your hope.
But Kirk Cousins makes it real. Kirk Cousins in this offense, I have a legitimate shot to beat everybody. And I said it a month ago when I wanted the Jets to get Kirk Cousins. But now there's no reason, there's no rationale at all for Minnesota not to trade him.
But at this point, if you're the New York Jets, you're so invested in Zach Wilson, you can't go backwards.
Why not?
Because
I make Zach Wilson my backup quarterback.
The locker room that he's our guy.
And guess what?
Robert Saleh has stood on the desk and said, listen, we believe in him. Did you see what he was doing in practice?
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's what we did. He did against the Chiefs.
Here's the
deal. Kirk Cousins?
You played in the NFL for quite some time. You're one of those guys in the locker room, and I'll get Plaxis taking this in about 20 minutes when he joins us as well. You may buy into the rhetoric. You may be a team guy. You want to support that young quarterback because he's been maligned because he stinks, right? If someone said, Willie, listen, ain't no cameras in here, no reporters in here, we're going to get Kirk Cousins. Are you going to say, but wait a minute, you told me to buy into Zach Wilson?
Wait, but Craig, you sat here with me and watched Kirk Cousins light up the scoreboard, right?
Yeah.
And also in the game with 2 picks. Right, the guys are. You can't say I don't care.
I don't care.
Really.
Kirk Cousins is a major upgrade.
Zach is gone from poop to all right, where it's digestible.
All right. I don't need all right. I need good.
Will, you know this is if you have playoff aspirations and you have a lot of games ahead of you in the season.
We're only 2 and 3.
You need 2 quarterbacks. You know what I mean? And your line is depleted. You're 1 tackle away from Tim Boyle being your quarterback and the season being over. You bring in Kirk Cousins, you have 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, Zach Wilson becomes the backup quarterback. You get rid of Simeon. Boyle goes back to the practice squad, and we run out the string until Aaron comes back next year. It makes sense. I've got a general manager who's very aggressive in Joe Douglas. I'm going to text Robert Sala during the next break and suggest they go get Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins makes the New York Jets an immediate Super Bowl contender.
That's wild.
That's not wild. That's
wild.
No.
That's wild. No.
Yeah.
How many wins do the Vikings have with Kirk Cousins?
1.
Oh, okay.
Not his fault.
Okay.
Whose
That's
fault
a
is
bad
it?
franchise.
Every time you turn on the tape, he's throwing a pick.
But I
he
will
lost
say this
the Chargers game because of the pick.
About this news when I'm watching the Vikings, and we've been discussing the potential of Kirk Cousins getting traded specifically to the Jets. And I'm watching it, I'm like, you just can't do that to Justin Jefferson, right? That's what when I watch, like, oh, they've got the best receiver in the league. Why would they trade the quarterback? But now that he's on IR, trade the quarterback. Go ahead.
Listen, I'm going to say this again in case you missed it, and I'm going to say it 50 more times before we end the show at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. The New York Jets have a responsibility to their fan base and to the other 52 guys in that locker room to do the right thing. I don't care about the Viking schedule. Take it off the screen. They're dead and done. Their season's over. Kaput. Peace out. You want to show me the Jets schedule? I'll take a look at that.
You talk about having a responsibility. If that's the case,
right.
Zach Wilson would have been out the door a long time ago.
So you advocating don't trade for Kirk Cousins?
No, I don't. Because I'm a guy, I'm a former offensive lineman. I believe in the guy behind me, right? Like, I've seen him getting better. Like, he wasn't great last week, but he was a competent quarterback, especially in the second half. You're going into this Eagles game with a makeshift offensive lineman in New York, Jeff.
That's right. AVT's out.
AVT is now out.
Starting right tackle.
Now you're talking about this 5 up front. Now have to get accustomed to a new guy who they don't know nothing about.
He's better. The offensive line will figure out how to protect Kirk Cousins because Kirk Cousins is a legitimate veteran quarterback who knows how to play football. I demand the New York Jets. I command the New York Jets. Do the right thing. Save our season. Go get Kirk Cousins, and I'll see you in Vegas the second Sunday in February.
What do you know? Text Sala.
I love it.
Remember that crossing guard?
No joke. In about 5 minutes, I'll be texting the New York Jets.
And what are you going to say?
I'm going to say, Robert.
Spell check, by the way.
Spell check. Robert, go get me Kirk Cousins.
Get me. Go get me
Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
I would do now, but my fat thumb messes up a lot of words. And I do have
got that old-ass phone. How old is that? You know Craig has an iPhone 8?
It's this big. It's got one camera on one side.
To be fair, that would be an upgrade.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's a 6, and it has served me well, sir.
Okay.
Anyhow, we'll update you throughout the day on the Kirk Cousins trade to the New York Jets. It is imminent. All right.
Is that the breaking news?
I don't want you to say nothing about that man no more.
Yeah, let me tell you something. I get Kirk Cousins. I never talk about that.
What's Kirk Cousins the quarterback? You don't know much about him anymore.
Hey, can you guys get me a Kirk Cousins jet cut out for tomorrow? That'd be great.
Hell yeah.
All right, it's Tuesday, and on Tuesday, we like to have some fun with a little segment we like to call Yeah, But. All right, here we go. Yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles are undefeated. And yeah, Jalen Hurts looks like an MVP candidate again. And yeah, DeAndre Swift was a major upgrade to their running attack. And yeah, they've got a badass offensive line. But they play the New York Jets.
Okay. Let's go.
Kirk Cousins and the undefeated streak comes to an end. Discuss amongst yourselves. I'll be over here.
Yeah, this is time for the New York Jets defense to stand up in a major way. If you want to make a statement, finally, one time this season, stop Jalen Hurts in this point in the offense. And
I can't wait for Sunday afternoon's game. I don't like going to football games, but I'm going because I'm a good luck charm, and the dead pig's coming with me.
And you bring the 40-pound pig.
All right, number 2. Yeah, the Dallas Cowboys got embarrassed, and yeah, they've only beaten bad teams, and yeah, San Francisco owns them right now. But remember this, San Francisco is the best team in football, and they're going to beat everybody. Just chill out in Dallas a little bit. Everything's going to be fine.
I disagree, Craig Carton. But bottom line, you told the world, you told America that this team was going to be better, more efficient, and this defense was going to be the spearhead of this organization, and they got waxed up and down the field. I understand the Niners are the best team in football, but the way Dak Prescott played, as predictable as Mike McCarthy is on offense, as Michael Parsons is getting neutralized, Trayvon Diggs is now out of the defense. They can't stop anybody. And late in that corner, everybody started getting gator arms. Nobody wanted to tackle George Kittle and Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
So this team lacked heart. They got tapped, and I said it yesterday, I say it again. If there was 5 quarters of football, they would have tapped and took their butts back to our
There you go.
Proud of you, buddy.
The last time I saw alligator arms like that was when Jacoby and I went out for dinner in the Bills. Number 3, Bill Belichick won 6 Super Bowls as the head coach of the Patriots, and he's a legendary coach, and he may have over 300 wins by the time the season is over. But remember this, he's under 500 without Tom Brady. And while he's going to the Hall of Fame, his success is tied specifically to Tom Brady. No Tom Brady, no mad genius.
Yeah, Mac Jones is a bad quarterback on an average team. And the bottom line, it started from the beginning of the season. You talk about week 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles. He had a chance at the end to win that game, but he's trailed. Talk about week 2, trailed. Thus far, he's trailed darn near every game, right? And so when you talk about the New England Patriots, currently, right now, they're a bad team. And you understand this, Carton, because I know you understand. This is a generational, not curse, but there are people who remember how bad the Patriots were.
Sure.
Prior to to Tom Brady, right?
Yeah. Steve
now,
Morgan.
the grandfathers and uncles are like, remember, you were born when Brady was hot. You wasn't back in the day when nobody talked about the Patriots.
Right.
Now that time's coming around, so it's doom and gloom in New England right now.
Yeah, if you're old enough to remember the Irving Fryer.
Tony Eason. Yeah, of course.
Right.
You can't take this for granted.
Exactly.
It's a very good point.
Exactly.
I still hate them, and they should never win another game.
I like that about you.
Just got to keep it real. I got another one for you. Yeah, the Steelers' offensive coordinator, Matt Canada, called the game-winning touchdown pass from Pickett to Pickens. And the Steelers are once again over 500. And the offense showed a little bit of life late in that game. But look out, Matt Canada, because Byron Leftwich is openly pitching for your job and wants to return to the Steel City and be the new offensive coordinator of the Steelers. That's a report that came out yesterday. He has not gotten hired since he got fired by Tampa when Brady left. And Byron Leftwich has had a lot of success in a passing-oriented offense. Do not be shocked if Mike Tomlin brings his former player back in.
And I pray to the good heavens this happens because I think Mike Canada flat out sucks. He has done nothing with the Steelers offense. You talk about an offense that has Pickens, Deontay Johnson. You talk about Darnell Washington, the big tight end that they got in that draft out of Georgia. You're talking about Najee and Jalen Warren. Like, they have weapons, but they cannot unlock Kenny Pickett. And Matt Canada, for 2 years in a row, has underperformed. And go back to that Ravens games, and you was right, Craig. Like, it was the Baltimore that pretty much laid it in. It wasn't the Steelers' offense that was great.
They made one good play.
They made one good play. Jalen Warren was probably the pulse of that offense for the most part. I like Byron Leftwich not only because he was my former quarterback when I was with the Steelers, because he's a brilliant brain. And he relates to the young guys. And he's easy to talk to, and he can connect to a young guy like Kenny Pickett. So I love Byron Leftwich, and his resume speaks for himself. Bottom line.
Yeah,
so
led
get
the
him in
league
the
in every
building.
passing stat with Tom Brady.
And him and Mike T like this is going to be beautiful. So
We got much more coming your way, including big questions in Green Bay about whether or not Jordan Love is a legitimate franchise quarterback. Obviously, the latest on the Justin Jefferson news, and much more as we continue right here with Plaxico Burress. Break. All right, welcome back to the Carton Show. That's David Jacoby, of course. Handsome Biggs to my left, the Super Bowl champion, Willie Colon. And joining us now, as you will, all week long, my main man, Super Bowl champion. All right, so you know his name. It's Plaxico Burress. He's also the guy that fully supports the New York Jets getting Kirk Cousins and winning a Super Bowl this year instead of having Zach Wilson as our quarterback. Much more from Plax later in the show. But Jacoby's got you right now for all the headlines, including the injury to Justin Jefferson.
Injury to Jefferson, we'll get to that in a second. We start with last night's football game. That is the Raiders beating the Packers on Monday Night Football. And Packers DB, Jair Alexander, had some very interesting thoughts after the game. Let's listen to him.
Yeah, I think at this point it's pretty obvious that the defense has to not give up any touchdowns, you know. I think that's a part of being self-critical of our defense because the offense is pretty young, and they're still figuring out their mojo.
Is it just me?
Nice.
Or did Alexander just throw the entire offense under the bus?
Yeah, he basically said the defense can't give up any points, has to score some points. But I remember back a few months ago on camera when he hugged Jordan Love and said, it's the best quarterback in football. And when I watched that interception, the first one right there, not this one, which is a batted ball, but if you guys go back to that first one, Plax, I know you have a take on it. That's just bad quarterback play is all that is.
Yeah, I understand exactly what he's saying because this offense is inexperienced. You look at that throw that Jordan Love made to that linebacker. That play or the play action to the backside slant, that throw is predicated off the move of the middle linebacker. If the linebacker steps up, then he makes that throw. If the linebacker takes the fake, he makes that throw. But when he makes this fake, his eyes are supposed to be directly on that middle linebacker, and he's already made a
By the way, Plax, I heard him for a sec.
Throwing the ball.
He would have been picked off by either one of those guys.
I know. So he's already made a predetermined decision where he's going with the football.
Right.
In college you can do that, but not in the pro football.
No, look, listen, the Raiders defense that's an easy play, by the way.
Yeah.
Like you said, you and I probably could have made the play. Maybe not you so much, Jacobs. But we would have made that play. Probably returned it to the house for a pick six.
Maybe not you.
Yeah. Anyway, here's the problem now in Green Bay. You bought into the bill of goods that Jordan Love, maybe it was not going to be Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre, but that Jordan Love was going to be a legitimate franchise quarterback to lead you maybe back to another playoff run. And other than week one and a drive here or a drive there over the next couple of weeks, Jordan Love has not been the reason that they're winning games. He has been the reason they're losing games.
Yeah, but this is why the GM, Brian Gutekunst and Mark Murphy, was upset with the whole Aaron Rodgers situation because they needed Jordan Love to get these woes out early, right? This is his first full season of actually playing for the Green Bay Packers, and Aaron Rodgers kept them handcuffed. So now you're looking at a young quarterback who's really kind of finding his way through this offense and really kind of going through the roles. But overall, man, he is a good quarterback. He just you can't have 3 turnovers on Monday Night Football and convince America Green Bay Packers in a good position, right? That's the bottom line. But right now, they don't have an identity because without Aaron Jones, they're pretty much handicapped because Christian Watson had that one big play down the sideline. That was it. And overall, Dillon, he's just not a good enough back. He's not a home run back. He's a volume back. He's kind of moved the chains type back. So Jordan Love is dealing with a lot overall, man. But we're going to see multiple games like this out of Jordan Love.
Plax, let me ask you a question. When a guy like Alexander, who's a well-respected guy, comes out and goes, our offense sucks, that's what he said without saying those words, how does an offense respond to that?
Oh, man, he's not just being self-critical of the defense. He's being critical of the offense. But he is right that the offense is young. I mean, Aaron Jones is the longest tenured player on his team in 7 years. Jalen Reed's a rookie. Romeo Dobbs is in his second year. Christian Watson's in his second year. And even though Jordan Love is in his 4th season, he's still an inexperienced quarterback. He's a rookie, basically, because he started his first season as a pro.
Well, the Green Bay Packers are in lots of trouble now as the Lions take off, and we'll run that division out real quick. And the Raiders, kind of the Jimmy Garoppolo story. It ain't never pretty, but he does win a lot more than he loses, baby. And they stay alive at least for another week.
Stink. Well, the Raiders stink too.
One thing that needs to be said about last night's football contest was Max Crosby was everything and everywhere for the Raiders. Run plays. He's like bad weather. He just ruins all your plans.
But Jacoby, that's him though.
They tried to block him with everybody. Tight ends, running backs, it did not matter. Double teams. Like he was in the backfield. He was in Jordan Love's face, causing some of those interceptions.
If you watch enough Max Crosby, like this is his game. The problem with this Raiders defense, and besides the off the field issues, Chandler Jones is supposed to be the next guy on the other side to kind of apply that same amount of pressure. So he's out. He's been on the field and hadn't been dominant. This is why I get so mad when a lot of people he deserves all the credit because I know we talk about Michael Parsons ad nauseum, but this guy doesn't turn off. I think he rushes the passer in the sleep. Like he's still working moves in the sleep. So so this guy, this is his game. The problem is there's only one of him. They need more of him on that side of the ball.
Yeah, listen, that's not a very good team either, the Raiders, but they do get a win. And they do at least hang on to some self-respect because they're a 500 football team now. I thought it was great during the game yesterday. They showed, they went to the owner's box, Mark Davis, the owner, and I'm not quite sure which play bothered him, but he called somebody a bleep hole. I figured it was Josh McDaniels. Decided to go for a field goal, not going for a first down. One more time, Mark. What do you think about that? What a bleep hole! It also proves my point that if you're rich, you get good-looking girls.
No matter what your hair looks like.
She's the star of like Cirque du Soleil in Vegas.
She was so unbothered. She was like, "So when are we leaving?"
Trust me, nobody's looking at him. Nobody's looking at Mark Davis.
No, that's hard to do with that haircut.
Moving on to our second headline, and that involves the big game from the weekend. Obviously, the Niners waxed the Cowboys and made them look bad, and Mike McCarthy tried to put a positive spin on it. Let's listen to the head coach say the glass is still half full.
Well, I would not say I'm concerned or worried at all. I think these are opportunities to grow, no doubt about it. I mean, I think adversity gives you a tremendous look inside and makes you answer more questions and make sure you got the right answers.
Not concerned at all, Craig. Can anything positive come out of a blowout?
No, not like that. But he's concerned. He's got to be concerned because Dak Prescott reverted back to the Dak Prescott that has cost them back-to-back playoff games against San Francisco. And that's their bugaboo, right? Yeah. You know, that's the team that Dallas can't get past. And San Francisco laid down the law Sunday night telling you, look, we still own you. We still make Dak Prescott look like an average quarterback at best who's happy to throw picks. We dominate you. We're always going to dominate you. So the reality, though, for the Dallas Cowboys is you are what you are. Right? Mike McCarthy is what he is. You can go back to the drawing board, of course, and go back to the offense that they showed you in the first 5 weeks of the season with one caveat. Look at their wins. The Giants stink. The Jets didn't play well at all. And the Patriots are one of the worst teams in football, right? So their 3 wins came against teams that combined have 4 wins this year combined. So who are the Dallas Cowboys? Like we said yesterday, they're the schoolyard bully. They pick on the little nerdy kid who's got the pocket protector and the masking tape on his glasses who ain't going to fight back. But as soon as you get the kid that's going to punch you in the mouth, all of a sudden, who are you? That's what the Dallas Cowboys are right now. And we learned this. They've got a glass jaw. All you got to do is hit them, and they cave. They caved against the Cardinals, and they caved against a much better team in San Francisco. That is a glass jaw fighter that cannot win a Super Bowl if they have to play a good team.
Yeah, I agree with you, Carton. They folded like lawn chair furniture. But nevertheless, man, if you're talking about what we saw last night, we got to take a step back. This was a bad loss for Mike McCarthy because when we started the season, what we talked about him possibly being on a hot seat.
Sure.
And the one thing that he was going to save his job was him being able to run this offense and have this offense on a high level. Mm-hmm. They're predictable, and we got the stats to prove it. Let's throw it up right here. We talked about it before you got on, Plex, man. Under center, they're running the ball. When they're in the gun, they're throwing the ball. Now, let's compare to them being predictable shotgun plays. Dallas 34, San Francisco 33, right? Shotgun passes plays. 26-19. And so this is a percentage. Pass plays a percentage, 76-57. What we saw Sunday night was Mike McCarthy not take this offense, who we thought was going to be better than Kellen Moore's, to the next level. It didn't happen. They were predictable. Dak looked stagnant. You talk about a field goal, interception. That's bad football. And when you look across the yard and you see them going against the Chargers, they got Kellen Moore coming up. By the way, you know what he's doing for that offense? He's putting 5 more points per play, per percentage on the board for them. They're scoring more. They look better. Herbert looks like a better quarterback. It looks like Dak has actually regressed in this offense.
And you know full well Kellen Moore has got an agenda.
100%. So I'm looking at Mike McCarthy like, you can look around the locker room, brother, but you better look in that mirror first.
Yeah, but guys, how much of this is, when you're down 14-0 real quick, all of a sudden whatever game plan you had gets thrown out the window, and now you can't do the dink and dunk because you panicked a little bit, and now it's like, let's put Dak in a situation that we've been trying to avoid all year.
Hey, if I'm Mike McCarthy, I'm very concerned. And I wouldn't call it adversity when you're getting blown out 42-10. That's not adversity. Adversity is losing by a field goal at the end of the game. But I'm looking at this Dallas schedule. I'm saying to myself, it's a possibility that they may not make the playoffs.
You got Chargers.
Yeah.
Then the bye.
You got the Chargers.
Yep.
You got the Eagles twice.
There you go. It's right there.
You got to go to Buffalo.
Yep.
You got to go to the Miami Dolphins.
Yep.
You got the Lions at home, which is not going to be a cakewalk.
Seattle as well.
And Week 18 with Washington Commanders, a divisional game is always tough. So he's going to have to find a way to rally the troops. Just those games I mentioned, that's a possible 5 or 6 losses and for the rest of the season.
Well, I would say this,
they got to find a way to get it in.
There's only 2 games on their schedule that you can print as W's right now. They're not going to lose to the Giants. I know that pains you, but the New York Giants are an embarrassment right now. And they're not going to lose to the Carolina Panthers.
Right.
So if you take those two games, give it to Dallas right now. You got 10 other games.
Right.
Where are they going to find 6 wins out of those 10 games to ensure themselves a playoff berth?
What I love about this schedule is that Week 6 game, the next game against the Chargers. That, to me, is a little bit of a coin flip, and you get the bye week after, and we know how the media loves to jump on the Cowboys.
Yeah.
They lose that game. I can't wait for this show.
It'll be interesting to see what Jerry Jones says today. I believe his weekly radio spot is on Tuesday.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see what he says about the Dak Prescott and the Mike McCarthy performance
He's
after
not
that embarrassing
going to
loss.
say, I'm not concerned. He's not going to say that.
He's not going to say that.
Yeah,
He's also not going to say that Mike McCarthy deserves to take some bows either.
A lot of opportunities to grow. I'm not concerned. That is not what Jerry Jones is going to say.
You make a good point. A team that a week ago we were looking at as maybe the best or one of the best teams, I should say, in the entire league, not just the NFC, and a team that was a guaranteed lock to have a playoff game this year, if not more than a playoff game this year, suddenly, schedule-wise, is in danger of not even making the postseason. That's on the table.
What they say?
What happened?
It was all good just a week ago.
It was all good just a week ago. But if you're also Dallas, man, and I talk about this in nauseam, like some of the guys that you consider superheroes are supposed to be the difference makers on your teams, you can't find them on tape. The fact that you have Michael Parsons, the guy who walked into the game with 29 pressures, didn't get a sniff on Brock Purdy. They sacked him once.
Right.
You're talking about DeMarcus Lawrence talking about, we're them. Bro, you almost got blown off. You did get blown off the field.
Sure
so
did.
the identity of this team is now in question. Is this a defense-led team or is this an offense-led team? Because the Niners put both of them to rest.
Well, this is why you tune into the Carton Show. You get your early morning headlines, and we have some breaking news. Justin Jefferson of the Vikings is now on the IR. Obviously, that's terrible for him. We wish him good health. But there's some implications here. Kirk Cousins in the last year of his deal. There's been rumors that potentially he would be on the trading block if things didn't go well for the Vikings. What does this injury, this news mean for Kirk Cousins, Craig?
Well, to me, it means the Viking season's now officially over. DOA on the news of him being out for the next 4 weeks because they have no one else to really throw the ball to. And it means that Minnesota has to actively shop Kirk Cousins. He doesn't have a contract after this year. They're clearly going to go with a different quarterback just from a financial standpoint after this year. And they're going to try to bring in a young stud quarterback that Justin Jefferson's going to want to play with, or else they're going to have a problem with JJ because he didn't get the contract extension that he was looking for this offseason. It makes no sense at all for the Vikings not to try and move Kirk Cousins. There's one obvious team sitting there that has the money to pay him, has the draft capital to get him, and that is, of course, my beloved New York Jets. As much as we're all talking good about the performance of Zach Wilson, 70% completion percentage the last 2 weeks, and the win against the Denver Broncos, Kirk Cousins is a major upgrade and gives the Jets a chance to win out this season and go to a Super Bowl.
How can you sit here and slander Kirk Cousins on the way that he's been playing this season? And now you want to make him a starting quarterback for your beloved Jets and say that he's an upgrade for
He's a major upgrade. It's going from a child to an adult. That's what we're doing.
That quick.
And I don't give a rat's ass.
Children don't go that fast.
I don't care about his no-trade clause. I don't care about his interceptions in the end zone
no-trade
against
clause.
the Chargers. Kirk Cousins ain't going to say no. If you say to Kirk Cousins, I'm going to take you off the 1-4 Vikings who just lost your best player and weapon for 4 weeks, and I'm going to put you on the Jets. Kirk Cousins says, honey, guess what? Start packing our crap. We're moving to Jersey.
Wow.
Kirk Cousins will be on the next flight out of Minnesota. He wouldn't even blink. So the notion of Kirk would say no, which is his right, he has a no-trade clause, is comical at best.
So basically what you're saying is that the Minnesota Vikings are willing to give away Kirk Cousins, and now they're basically tanking for Caleb Williams.
That's exactly right.
Sounds like.
And they'll get a second-round draft pick from the Jets.
Probably
be
better
all
than like,
good.
hey, we got Nick Mullins, let's go win these games.
I'll do you one better. Kirk Cousins making how much? $35 million this year? And you still got 3/4 of the season to go? You don't think Ziggy Wolf and that family wouldn't like to, get rid of that contract in a season they know they're not going to win? I would dump that salary in a minute. New York Jets, Joe Douglas, general manager. How you doing? Second-round pick. Done. First-class air travel. He can bring the minivan. He can bring the wife. He can bring the kids. It's all good.
We'll get them baseball tickets, too.
Well, let's not relax.
I think
Baseball here sucks.
I think the bigger problem that you have with Ziggy Wolf and the Minnesota Vikings is Justin Jefferson. I mean, how does he feel? Going in the next season?
Well, look,
he doesn't know who his quarterback is.
Kirk Cousins isn't going to be their quarterback next year anyway.
We know that,
which is why he was silly not to get Justin Jefferson signed before you make that big move of bringing in a young or a new or a different quarterback. But I'm telling you, You've got to make this deal right
Did you
now.
text Robert Saleh? Did you text him?
He's not responding to him, obviously.
I have not texted him yet because I was debating, do I text him or do I text Joe Douglas, the GM? Or do I text both of them at the same time?
You got to send them a gift, too.
Send them a gift? My fandom is a gift.
But you got a 40-pound pig coming.
I do. And a guaranteed W by the Jets. That's right. And by the way, the pig spanking, very quickly for the Jets and Giants since 2007, is a remarkable 11-0. We've never lost a game that I bring the pig to.
You're bringing it to the.
And I'm bringing the pig on
Eagles
Sunday.
game?
Jets, Eagles, 4 o'clock on Fox.
You planned this. You planned that.
I planned the pig thing?
Yes.
I might have.
All right.
Yeah, you got to order in advance.
Moving on, we got one final headline. After the Patriots lost 34-0 to the Saints, Bill Belichick did his weekly radio hit, and this was very interesting. He was asked by the host how he was going to quote-unquote start over, and here's what the eloquent Bill Belichick had to say.
Well, I'm going to do the best I can to help our football team. That's my job.
Do you find that your message is landing, or there's things that you need to change? Because the 38-3 loss was your worst that you'd ever had in 500 starts. And this week it appears that there wasn't that urgency to reclaim what the team's identity was.
Yeah, well, I'm going to do the best I can to help the team.
It's a great interview.
You know what? Great interview. $250,000 a year to do that weekly spot on the radio. It's
So he's going to do the best he can to help the football team.
Yeah.
Do you think he will be doing the best he can to help the Patriots next season?
No, I don't. Listen, it has to come to an end anyway at some point, and this team's not suddenly going to be world beaters next year. The cupboard is bare. As you've said from day one, Macaroni Jones ain't a starting quarterback, and neither is Bailey Zappi, to be fair. So you don't have a quarterback. You don't really have wide receivers. Bourne maybe has a chance to be a good wide receiver. Maybe Stevenson behind a good offensive line would be a better running back. This is a bad team. It's a bad team top to bottom, and he's got to go. And by the way, that's okay. Everything comes to an end. And whether he coaches somewhere else or not is not even the point. Bill Belichick has been an outright failure in New England without Tom Brady. And while he thinks he's the smartest guy in the NFL, and maybe he is, but not this year, not with this team. And when you lose 38-3 and come back the next week at home and give up 34 to the Saints and don't score, meaning by my math, you got outscored 72-3. Ooh. Don't tell me that Bill Belichick's a genius when he got outscored 72-3. It's a wrap in New England. Keep crying and hope the Celtics are good. Oh, by the way, they lost to the Knicks last night.
Wow. I like how you throw that in there. No, you're right, Craig. I mean, you're talking about this Bill Belichick, who's supposed to be the big brain of all of the NFL, and he's supposed to be that guru on defense, man. To give up 69 points in the last 2 games, it shows that the locker room has quit on him, right? There's no response. You don't see a
Or they're just not any good.
But you just don't see a response, right? Like, one thing Belichick takes pride in, right? Not only is he an authoritarian, but there's also his adjustments, right? We've watched 5 weeks of football. There's been no adjustments to the defense or offense. And yeah, you could attribute a lot of that to the injuries, but overall, this team is flat, right? Yeah. And they've made adjustments to bringing in Ezekiel Elliott to help the run game. You can't find him on tape. You talk about the defense supposed to make splash plays. Now with Christian Gonzalez out of the lineup and Judon hurt,
cover corner.
Nothing's coming up for this defense. And Bill Belichick has always had an answer for an answer.
And by
there
the way,
are no more answers.
And I think you guys will agree with me on this. Right. If Kirk Cousins was the Jets quarterback, the Patriots would be winless.
That's one place where he could end up at.
He ain't going to New England.
New
England's not going to commit to him at this point.
It's just tough to stomach for anybody, especially for Bill Belichick, knowing that his season is over in the first 5 weeks of the season.
I love it. And here's the problem.
I, for one, I don't mind how it's coming to an end.
His tenure with the Patriots is over. Yeah. He is not the Patriots head coach next year. I think one of the worst things that happened for them. One of the worst things that happened for them is them making the playoffs with Mac Jones. It gave them hope. It made Bill and this franchise feel like, oh, we've got the guy now. They don't have the guy. And let's not forget, all of the personnel decisions Bill Belichick is making too, those are all wrong as well.
Well, that's the thing. If you're Bill Belichick right now, outside of resting on your laurels, how can you go to him and say, hey, Bill, it's a wrap? How can you talk to him?
You have no choice. I own the team.
You just do it.
No, it's different with Bill because now they're talking about bringing in somebody to help him with the roster. You think Bill Belichick, who by all account, they've had to have some conversation with him because of his response, but you're now looking at a guy who I think say, you know what, I don't need help. This is where I say
he needs help. But you know what? I think he will be back next season for this reason. I don't think that Robert Kraft is going to fire him this season. Everybody can see that this team absolutely stinks. There's nobody that can fix it for this year. The season is a wash.
I agree. He'll be back as the Chargers head coach. As the Chargers head coach, he'll be back.
I think it's done. And I'm going to tell you why, because the start of this season has been abysmal, right? You're talking about he let go of Zappe, brought him back. You talk about Malik Young, who's a third-string quarterback, let him go and brought him back. This is solely on Bill Belichick, relying his future on Mac Jones. And Mac Jones, here are the numbers, atrocious, right? Like, you're talking about 11 points. They ranked dead last in the NFL right now. You're talking about turnovers, 28th. I mean, right now, if you're looking at the Patriots offense, this is traca, as they say in the Bronx. This is trash football. So, basura, right? So this is right now, you've never seen this in New England. Outside of Brady, they look incompetent. And we use that word a lot on this show, but it's bad football.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's not going to be in New England, I don't think, next year. He's not going to be with the Chargers next year either. But if he does coach, there's a good chance he just says, I'm done.
I think
go to the Hall of Fame and wrap it up and go play golf at Pebble Beach with your sweatshirt on and all that crap.
Place.
But I will give you one little team to keep in the back of your mind. Because if they have a failure of a season, they will get rid of their head coach. And Bill Belichick can return to where it all started, the Cleveland Browns.
Ooh.
He could go back to Cleveland with a badass defense, Deshaun Watson, and bring Cleveland what he didn't do last time, which is playoff success. Went to the playoffs one year, didn't win much, and he could go back to Cleveland, a conquering hero, and go back to where it all started from.
Okay,
the only problem with that, of course, is that he
Okay.
forgot that he ever lived in Cleveland and put Cleveland in his rearview mirror as quickly as he could. Coming up, San Fran, one of only 2 undefeated teams left. But here's a question for you. Check out their schedule. Who's going to beat them?
Ooh.
Think about it. Contemplate it. We'll answer it right after this. Kyle Shanahan might very well be the best coach in the NFL. He beats the Dallas Cowboys Sunday Night Football. So here's the question, Coach Shanahan. What did that victory mean? Answer, please.
I mean, it sounds awesome when you say all that stuff, but absolutely nothing.
What?
If we would have lost this game, we would have been 4-1, and now we're 5-0. It's exciting and all this is fun, but been in the NFL way too long. Been 5-0 and haven't made the playoffs before. All that stuff really doesn't matter.
Look, he's right, and he also went through devastating quarterback injuries last year that may have cost them a Super Bowl, so I understand why he's not going to get crazy. Plus, let's be honest, is beating the Dallas Cowboys that big a deal, right? Maybe the Dallas Cowboys aren't all that good, right? And they own Dallas the last couple of years anyway, so I understand him downplaying it. Plus, he also recognizes, I got 3 more months of football. I haven't won anything yet. And oh, by the way, Seattle's pretty damn good too.
Yeah, it's a big deal because leading into this season, he was told that if there was one team to be a bump in the road, it was going to be the Dallas Cowboys.
Schedule-wise, yeah.
Schedule-wise. Now, if you put up, as an offense, they put up 421 points on this daunted defense, there's reason to kind of say we are them. So I give him credit for trying to remain humble, and he doesn't want to make his guys seem, get over their skis.
Yep.
But overall, man, I think they're doing a damn good job. He should be celebrated.
The question I want to ask Kyle Shanahan, because he is thought of as one of the great offensive coaches in the sport, and God knows he's got all the talent to have a great offense, but he has seen a lot of quarterbacks come and go in his time, and obviously through his dad's time in the NFL. I'd love to get his honest, no BS assessment of the best quarterback in the game today. My guy, Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy?
Yeah. Starting quarterback.
Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. He's in a great situation with Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan's supposed to be the quarterback guru. Mr. Irrelevant is now relevant. They have a very explosive offense, but I can't not just sit here and say that. You already have him crowned as being the best quarterback in football and the NFL MVP at this point. He's a good player. They have a great team, but he's not to that point to where we can call him one of the elite.
Well, let me bring this up, and I certainly respect the fact that you guys played. As wrong as you are, I respect the fact that you played.
I'm not wrong.
But here's a guy that has not thrown a single pick. Yep. Here's a guy that leads an offense that averages almost 35 points a game. Here's a guy that's the starting quarterback of an undefeated team. There's only 2 of those teams in the NFL. And if you could put their schedule up for me, guys, real quick, I'm trying to figure out who's a threat to them losing their first game. The Browns have no offense, and I don't think Deshaun's playing this week again because of the shoulder. We'll get into that in a little bit. They're not going to lose to them. The Vikings are done. The Bengals defense stinks. Let's take a rest to take a bye. Jacksonville's up and down. Tampa's not very good. Seattle. That's the first game where they're at risk of having a tough day.
I want to see what we're going to be saying about Brock Purdy after they go to Cleveland this week. Because he's going to be playing against the best defense in football. It doesn't matter if Cleveland doesn't have an offense. I want to see how the San Francisco 49ers can move the ball consistently up and down the field like they did against the Dallas Cowboys, against the Cleveland Browns, and I don't think they'll be able to.
Well, I don't mean to rain on your parade. I saw what Lamar Jackson did without OBJ in Cleveland.
Sure.
That's a whole different
But my point is, if that's Baltimore and this is San Fran, they're going to walk all over Cleveland. I don't think it's going to be a contest.
I think it's tougher for them offensively, but at the end of the day, as often as that Browns defense is going to be on the field, they're going to score.
This San Francisco offense looks great when the weather's nice and the sun is out. They're playing in Northern California. The grass is green. But what's happened when it comes back to the East and it's 30,
Fox, they
30,
played the
40?
Steelers week 1 and beat the hell out of them.
That was in 85-degree weather.
Yeah, but it's
man, listen.
They still have to come to the East Coast.
With that being said, do not think that the Philadelphia Eagles and both the San Francisco 49ers are not cognizant. Listen, they are not playing for the playoffs.
Right.
They're playing for home field advantage right now.
This is one team out of the West Coast that travels really well.
I don't believe it.
No, you don't have to. There's stats. There's facts. The Niners, when they come to the East Coast, are the best outfit to travel.
I'm telling you right now, the San Francisco 49ers do not want to go to Philadelphia at the end of January and play for an NFC Championship.
I would agree with you on that. Nobody does. But the good news for San Francisco is that game would be in San Francisco, or to be fair, Santa Clara.
That's what they're playing for.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're playing for. Put that schedule up again real quick, guys, because they do play the NFC East this year. And that game is Week 13 in Philadelphia.
In Philly.
So if my math is right,
that's the game.
That game is right around Thanksgiving, right? Mm-hmm. So it's going to be cold, East Coast stuff. I do think they run the table through Week 11. I think Seattle's going to be a tough game. That's in Seattle. Seattle, by the way, only has one loss, so they're right there with them. And then December 3rd, so right after Thanksgiving, is the game. That 3-week stretch, Seattle, at Philly, and then Seattle again. As you guys know, Seattle's a very good team. It is very tough to beat a good football team 2 times in 3 weeks. That is a tough ask. The game against Seattle, that is the Thanksgiving game for them.
This is what I have a problem with your whole little thing you're doing right here.
Me?
Burrow's better. Burrow's better.
Burrow's back.
Burrow's back.
Let's see it 2 weeks in a row.
That's what I said yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you're wrong.
He's trying to sit here and say that Brock Purdy's a better quarterback than Joe Burrow.
No, he's not.
Burrow's back, by the way. And I know coming off the bye, which is tough because we both experienced it, the Jaguars can bite him in the butt.
Excuse me, sir.
I'm just putting it out
Joe Burrow, who had a great game, and Jamar Chase, who had a legendary game last week. Remember who they did it against.
Catches for
they did it against the Arizona Cardinals. Let's slow your roll on that. And it was 24-20 deep into the second half.
And do you not think that the Cincinnati Bengals are not going to continue to get better? They are.
I would think they get better. Their defense is suspect.
Yes,
and if you need your best player to have 19 targets and 15 catches to beat the Cardinals, you ain't beating San Francisco.
Yeah, but you got Burrow coming off a bye, healthy and ready to go. He's already showing signs of improvement with an offense that's already getting better. If you want to make a statement, beat the Niners.
Hey, this happens every year.
I'll give you that.
Hey, this happens every year. The best player in the best team in the NFL, they never win a Super Bowl.
I'd have to check my history.
I'm telling you. The best team never wins it.
I'm pretty sure Tom Brady got about
To be fair, Kansas City was pretty good.
But how many times during the regular season were the Kansas City the best team in football?
You're right.
I'll say this, Plax. What always happens every season is the undefeated team loses on a week where you don't expect it. Yeah. That happens often. It's not always against the Eagles.
Also,
they lose.
He already got them at 11-0.
Jaguars or whatever.
Well, he got them 17.
They're not losing it until that 3-week stretch. Seattle, Philly, Seattle. If they go through those 3 weeks without a loss,
it's over.
They are going 17-0. They are not losing a game. And I should mention to you that the great Kansas City Chiefs have never in their lives had to win an AFC Championship game on the road. They're always the best team.
I just happened to play against an undefeated team in the Super Bowl.
Give me some right there.
And we all know what happened there. So it is
referee saved your ass.
tough.
That's a receipt. We need that receipt because we're going to hold you.
So you're saying there's a possibility. So you're saying that the San Francisco 49ers may go 20-0.
No.
Yes.
19-0.
That is
20-0.
correct. 20-0.
There's no chance.
I think that's on the
Now
table.
you're talking crazy.
It's on the table. And by the way, had the referees blown the whistle when Eli was in the grasp, they would have got 19-0.
Now we're doing that. No, I guess you're not.
You think you know a guy? Hey, you never know who your friends are.
Right. You know a guy.
Eli's in the
All right,
grasp.
listen. Let's turn it over to Jacoby now for our weekly segment. What's the bigger story?
What's the biggest story? It explains itself. We start in the AFC North. What's the biggest story? The Bengals' AFC North chances or the Ravens' AFC North chances? We'll start with you, Mr. Cologne.
Listen, man.
It's a tough one.
It's tough. Why? Because all the quarterbacks stunk up until this point. Like, Joe Burrow back, he's the number one quarterback in the division right now. Like, Pickett, you can't find him. Lamar Jackson's too inconsistent. And Deshaun Watson, as of right now, just doesn't want to play football. Right? So it goes down to Joe Burrow and coming out of the casket and really being an emergency coming out of Cincinnati. Because prior to the game, we thought he was dead, man. He's dragging his leg. Now he's stepping into throws. He's buying time in the pocket. The offense looks better. Jamar Chase, by the way, doesn't complain anymore, right? You talked about 19 targets. I wouldn't say a damn thing either. So I think right now, as long as Joe Burrow stays healthy, it goes through Cincinnati.
All right, Plax, this next one is for you because I already know where you're standing, and I love it. We have this. What's the bigger story? Brock Purdy MVP debate or Brock Purdy best quarterback in the NFL debate? What's the bigger story, Plax?
I mean, out of those two, I would say MVP debate because he's not the best quarterback in football. I mean, right now at this point, I still have to go. Patrick Mahomes won.
Never lost a game.
Patrick Mahomes. What you mean? Never lost a game?
He lost one in every game that he started and finished. He's never lost.
He's never lost.
Okay, Jalen Hurts is 21-1 and starting 22 games.
But that's one loss.
That's one loss. Right. But this guy's only started what? 8 or 9 games?
And he's undefeated.
Right. He's pretty good.
That one?
He's pretty good. 13. I'm trying to answer my question. Y'all interrupted me.
I'm just trying to help you out.
I'm just saying, right now, he is not the best quarterback in football. It's Patrick Mahomes won, and I still going to put Joe Burrow in front of Brock Purdy as being the best quarterback in the league.
Come on, my dog. It's never going to make sense.
Don't do that.
Undefeated.
Don't do that.
He decapitated the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football.
Don't do that.
The offense is
looking. The Cowboys stink.
We haven't seen that type of point offense since the greatest show on earth.
Yes, we have.
No, we haven't. Man, give the man his credit.
The New England Patriots in 2007 had the highest scoring offense in NFL history. So don't tell me it has not been done.
Bottom line is, when you put Brock Purdy in the San Francisco lineup as quarterback, he's undefeated. No loss. They can't beat him right now.
Hey, he's undefeated.
What makes him number one?
But he's not the best quarterback in football.
Oh, he's top 7. He's top 7.
He's surrounded by a great team.
Why won't you give the man
weapons and a great defense?
Why won't you give him his flowers?
He's a good player.
No, he's the best in football.
No, he's not.
We're
he's
moving
not
on.
the best player in football.
You know better than that. For the rest of our
I don't know.
You know better than that.
I don't know. When you know boxing, when somebody steps in the ring undefeated,
you know better.
It makes him the best in boxing.
Until you run into Buster Douglas.
We're moving on. Craig, what's the bigger story? Bill Belichick losing games or Bill Belichick potentially losing his job?
The biggest story would be losing his job because if he's the greatest coach of all time and gets fired, that's humiliating, it's humbling, it's embarrassing and all those things. You know, the fact that they're losing is more a result of having no talent there. Bill Belichick, the GM, is an abject failure in New England. Bill Belichick, the head coach, when you got 6 rings, it doesn't matter what else you do. You're going right to the Hall of Fame as one of the greatest, if not the greatest coaches of all time. So the fact that Robert Kraft said before this season, not making the playoffs this year is unacceptable. Now we wait to see if the owner puts his money where his mouth is and does what every Patriot fan, I think, is now ready for, and that is saying goodbye to Bill Belichick. And one day he'll be honored, and they'll bring him back and all that stuff. But right now, I've heard Patriot fans, they want him gone. They are done with Bill Belichick. He's lived out his life there, and it's a wrap.
Willie, quickly, we go to you. What's the bigger story? Dak Prescott's no-show against the Niners or Micah Parsons' no-show against the Niners?
For me, Dak has put on tape that he can be, turnover prone. We've seen that. What we haven't seen, Micah Parsons pretty much put on ice. And it's the way the Niners did it. It wasn't just with Trent Williams putting those paws on him. It was Justin Juszczyk, the fullback, blocking him one-on-one. It was Kyle Juszczyk, It was George Kittle at the end of run plays blocking him one-on-one. It was the fact that they wasn't afraid to run right at him and also run away from him. He was pretty much neutralized. And this is a guy, by the way, we talked about it on the show. I want to win a Super Bowl. I want to be MVP. I am the best out here. Yada, yada, I. And the Niners said no, 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 no. And so when I look at the Niners moving forward, they're not even worried about Michael Parsons. Every other offense is worried about Michael Parsons except the Niners. He was on ice, and I think he has to cut his podcast, end it all, stop talking, because I'm tired of hearing his mouth. Bottom line.
Real quick one for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Finally,
go ahead.
What's the bigger story? Niners undefeated in the regular season.
Yeah.
Or New York Knicks undefeated in the preseason.
The New York Knicks best team.
There you go. There you go.
That's what we're talking about. Damn near dropped 140 points last night against the Boston Celtics. Oh, it's the retooled Boston Celtics. Dante DiVincenzo. Let him know what house they are last night. That's right. The New York Knicks are going to the NBA Finals.
Undefeated. 82-0. 82-0. They might lose one.
Listen, we just need 3 more kids from Villanova. Right. It's all good. As we go to break, Plax, your honest thoughts about Brock Purdy being the best quarterback in football.
He's not the best quarterback.
Hey, everybody want to hear that.
I'm telling you the truth. He's not.
Coming up, we got our first glimpse of Victor Wembanyama. I'm going to show you a very quick 3-second highlight, and then right back to football. First in football, what's wrong with the Bills? Are the Jets going to get Kirk Cousins? And is Deshaun Watson ever going to play football again? Let's hope we're lucky we get that Michigan-Georgia game for all the marbles.
Really?
That's what everybody wants, Mr. Michigan State.
My God.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Roll from my mouth.
Where's Michigan State?
Don't do that on the desk.
When it's not state behind it. I don't need to say this.
All right, listen. We go back to Jacoby now for first down football. Lots of stuff circling as we get ready for Week 6 in the NFL.
We start with the Bills, and they lost in London to the Jaguars. And Stefon Diggs was asked, did the Bills have a sense of urgency? And he answered.
100%. Like, I felt like on the sideline, I kind of felt it a little bit. And I went on the field, and I was just, echoing sense of urgency. Get out of the huddle. Let's have that mindset. We have it in practice, and we try to build off of it in the game. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be easier.
So he talked about the lack of sense of urgency. They didn't look good. They didn't start good. I say it's all travel related, and they're still the best team in the AFC.
Yeah.
Is it a travel thing, or is there more to be concerned about?
Look, I think it's partially a travel thing. Jacksonville was out there for 3 weeks. That does mean something. You guys have played in that London game, and certain guys, certain teams react one way versus the other way based on when you travel, when you kind of get your feet under you, and all that stuff. And it is different playing in that stadium from every guy I've ever talked to. You guys can speak to it, but here's the other thing for me. I think every year we come up with these catchphrases that at the end of the day don't mean a damn thing. And urgency is now one of them. What does that even mean? That they didn't have any urgency. They got outplayed by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Give the Jaguars defense credit. They figured out a way through 3 quarters to throttle what has been over the last 3 weeks one of the best offenses in all of football. The Jaguars went out there, a reeling team. They beat Atlanta, and now they beat Buffalo, and now their season's back on track. The Buffalo Bills didn't figure out how to move the ball and score points until halfway through the fourth quarter, and at that point it was too late. And then Jacksonville ultimately made a big play, to put the game out of reach. I just don't know what that means. Did you have a lack of urgency? I don't get that.
I know exactly what it means. We talk about it, and Willie understands it too. It means getting in and out of the huddle. Breaking the huddle, getting to the line of scrimmage, being set. Everybody in the entire huddle is quiet, and the only person talking is the quarterback. And getting into those 2-minute drives and having those 4-play drives for touchdowns for 75 yards. And the Bills are making excuses to why they got beat. They're saying they was tired. Listen, the time difference is probably 5 or 6 hours, give or take. But the Bills have a bigger problem moving forward with all the injuries that they have on defense. Because
Milano especially.
Now they have a guy injured on every tier of the defense. Defensive line, middle line, linebacker, and Tre'Davious White with a torn Achilles. So now you have injury on every front on the defense.
Sure.
So that's going to hurt them moving forward. They just brought in Josh Norman yesterday. He was there last year with the Bills. So You just don't know what you're going to get out of Buffalo week to week, and that's the problem with
Well, now, listen, here's the reality of Buffalo. They had a very good defense. It's now taking major shots, like you said. Von Miller's back on a pitch count. Yep. Only played 20 plays in that game against Jacksonville. But now it's really on the offense. They have to carry Buffalo. And they've shown moments where they can do it, and Josh Allen and Diggs are capable of doing it. Gabe Davis did show up in that game against Jacksonville. But they also were going to rely on that defense for turnovers and to make plays. And like you said, they've lost a lineman, they've lost a linebacker, and they've lost a cornerback. That's a special guy that plays every snap across the board.
Yeah, after they beat the Miami Dolphins, if you would have told me the Buffalo Bills was going to be 9-1, I would have said, I would have brought into that. Just how dominant they looked against the Dolphins. On top of that, when it comes down to this game, Josh Allen just started slow, right? You can't go no huddle in the fourth quarter, go 150 yards of offense and then say, oh, man, we had them close. No, you come out the gate firing because they overlooked the Jacksonville Jaguars, plain and simple. They didn't expect Christian Kirk and all these guys and Evan Ingram have a day. And by the way, Trevor Lawrence wasn't great. He had 2 fumbles in that game, right? So they could have came away with a win. They couldn't overcome it.
Hey, look, just real quick, you guys have been involved with this. They have a huge win against the Miami Dolphins. They scored 48 points, and they're the only team this year that's been able to stop the Dolphin offense, right? There's no doubt those guys are feeling themselves on the way out to London, right?
Absolutely, man. But Buffalo is a tough place to play at. And the Buffalo Bills, after that win against the Miami Dolphins, they go in the locker room and say, we told you, we're not the Buffalo Bills as everybody's been talking about. And they were already thinking that we're the kings of the AFC East.
Right.
We're going to go 9-1 through the first 10 weeks, like Willie just said. And they go to London on basically no sleep. They get there 50 hours before the game, and now they're making excuses.
I'm going to tell you what pisses me off about the Bills. We only check the temperature of the Bills through Stefon Diggs. If he's not slamming a tablet, we're like, oh, he's in a good mood. He slams a tablet, they're not doing well. Like, it can't be like that. The tape has to speak for itself. And because this man had 120 yards for a touchdown, you talk about Gabe Davis had a day. Josh Allen is the one that's been inconsistent. You go week 1 to right now, it's up and down. We were talking about prior to this game, him being in the conversation for MVP.
Right.
You throw a dud against Jacksonville Jaguars in Tottenham, man, it can't happen. So it's on Josh Allen.
Moving on to second down, Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski spoke about the enigma that is Deshaun Watson's health and his shoulder. Here's what the head coach of the Browns had to say.
The piece there that's important is medically cleared versus functionally able to do your job. And I think that's what, with all of our guys, when you're working through an injury, you need to be able to functionally perform. And that's what Deshaun's working very hard in his rehab to be able to get back to 100%.
Well, listen,
Craig, what do you make of all this with his injury?
I can relate to it. There's many times in my life I was not able to functionally perform. Although I was medically cleared for it.
What grade was this?
From about 11th grade on. I have no idea what the hell that means, that the medical staff cleared him, but he's not able to functionally perform. Look, I know it's a strong shoulder, and that is what it is. If he goes to throw the ball in his pain, but he can actually make the throw, maybe he's not that guy. Maybe he's not a dog, as we like to say. I've never in my life heard a coach describe it that way. And when everything is relying on Deshaun Watson being the guy we saw in Houston, albeit 3 years ago.
So let me and Plex help you out.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm going to tell you exactly what it means when he says he's been medically cleared. He's medically cleared to perform through the team doctors, right?
Okay.
So he's able to play. So every day at practice, the head coach goes to him and they ask him, how do you feel? Or the trainers ask you, how do you feel? And he's like, I still feel a little tight. They're like, all right, we're going to hold you back another day. We'll see how you feel tomorrow. And that continues throughout the week. So what they like to do is get that Wednesday and Thursday of treatment and see how he feels on Friday.
Right.
If he's not feeling good on Friday, they'll get him out, give him a few reps, and he'll just get treatment all the way through Sunday, and Sunday he's going to be a good.
Now, we saw Sunday him out in the field trying to throw the ball because he was a game-time decision, and he said, I can't do it, Coach, sorry.
Right. In Pittsburgh, we had a saying, there's a difference between injured and hurt, right?
Yes.
Right.
Injured is your arms dangling off your body. Hurt is attacked, but I can still do my job. He's simply hurt. You can't tell me for the Cleveland Browns, who climbed over Mount Olympus to go get you, right?
Right.
They did everything possible to go get you. They kicked Baker to Tampa, right? Bottom line. On top of that, we've watched 3 weeks of Joe Burrow sit in the pocket, take shots after shot, drag his leg up and down the field, and try to win his team a damn football game. I'm a fan of Deshaun Watson, but if I'm an offensive line, I'm like, come on, homie. You're embarrassing us because we need you. We're not a competent offense unless you're out there. We have a number one defense. You're supposed to be our number one quarterback, and you're afraid to leave the locker room? You should be embarrassed of yourself because in the AFC North, we pride ourselves on football, defense, and going out and kicking butt. He's supposed to be a butt kicker. He is soft right now. AC joint, there's Toradol, cocaine, Jack Daniels, whatever you need to get you on Sunday, you got to play. If I was for the Cleveland Browns, I would be absolutely livid. Get your tail out there and play some damn football. We're in the heart of the season. You can't. Joe Burrow pretty much pulled himself out of the grave with his leg, strapped it on, and said, "I got you, bro." Come on, Deshaun Watson.
You rub the cocaine on the shoulder?
Let's go, baby.
It's a topical.
Let's go.
It's a topical.
Yes, right.
But he will be out there on Sunday. Mark your words.
He better be out there on Sunday. Especially because when you make the money he makes, the money's always a part of it.
Who we play with? Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
We watched Ben do things that Craig, there was times I left the locker room, I said, bro, we got you today. And he was at the locker with duct tape, like, nope, I got this one. That's the AFC North.
There will be weeks in practice, and I can attest to this. I played with this man for 7 years, and he would come into work on Monday, and you would be like, there's no
way he's going to play.
There's no way he's playing this Sunday.
Right.
And Sunday will roll around.
Once that smoke cleared, here comes Sunday.
I have to ask this question, because obviously I was not in that locker room, but I know what the public's perception outside of Pittsburgh was of Ben Roethlisberger. He loved the attention. He loved showing up with a limp and
even
a cast on.
I don't care what it was. He was tough as nails, and when it was time to go, he was ready to go.
Okay. We played San Francisco.
He wasn't just limping around. He was hurt.
Yeah, we played San Francisco on a Monday night. I think that's when the lights went out, right? And literally, we coming out the locker room. He had a soft cast on. They wrapped the shoe so tight it looked like a space boot, right? But he stood in the pocket and he tried to will the win. You're Deshaun Watson. You're new to the city.
Right.
You're new to the city. You're losing the city right now.
And he has a contusion, and he's talking about his.
Come on now. Get out there and play
I like
football.
the remedies. I want to get back to the remedies. Just in case on this show I need a remedy to get through a show.
I know a guy.
You got a guy?
I got a guy.
I know.
Good call on that. Good call on that. All right, coming up. As bad as Deshaun Watson is right now in the locker room in Cleveland is as good as Brock Purdy is in the locker room in San Francisco. Fair question, considering they have the best quarterback in all football and they haven't lost yet. Is there a chance we see the very first ever 17-0 regular season football team with San Francisco being the greatest team maybe of all time? Next on FS1. David Jacoby's right there. Plaxico Burris in the middle, of course, and the big fella Willie Colon sitting to my left. And let's talk about San Francisco because Kyle Shanahan was asked after the beatdown of the Dallas Cowboys what that means for San Francisco moving forward. Here's Coach Shanahan.
I mean, it sounds awesome when you say all that stuff, but absolutely nothing. If we would have lost this game, we would have been 4-1, and now we're 5-0. It's exciting and all this is fun, but been in the NFL way too long. Been 5-0 and haven't made the playoffs before. All that stuff really doesn't matter.
Yeah, look, that's a guy that gets it. He's been around the block enough times to know you don't start counting your chickens after 5 weeks. He also knows he's got a really, really good football team with the best quarterback in the game today in Brock Purdy. And, of course, Debo and Ayuk and Kittle, who got off the schneid on Sunday with 3 touchdowns. Here's the question, though. That game was built up as a battle of 2 of the best. We learned a valuable lesson. Maybe Dallas isn't that good. Or the other lesson is maybe San Fran is just that much better than everybody. And we got to wait till they play the Eagles, which is still a month and a half away, to really answer that question. But in the moment, which is it?
Yeah, I think they're just better than everybody. And I think a large part of that is they're playing with a chip on their shoulder. Because me and Plex argued about it not too long ago. They were on their way to the Super Bowl, but one thing stopped them. Brock Purdy getting injured, right? So this is a team that's fighting to show America that we are them. And they had an opportunity on Sunday and do it, and they did it. Now, if you look about what Brock Purdy's doing thus far, He's playing competent, big-time football. He's making the right reads. He's making the right plays with the football in his hand.
But, Plax, you said earlier you thought the win did mean something.
Oh, it meant a lot because it showed the San Francisco 49ers are light years ahead of the Dallas Cowboys and everybody else around the league offensively and defensively. And it's a tremendous confidence booster for them because, listen, everybody's saying that, listen, this is our year. Brock Purdy got hurt last year. This is the only reason why we didn't go to the Super Bowl. I don't believe that, but they're proving it now, and everybody's pretty much crowning this guy as being the best quarterback in football.
All right, let me flip the script on you right now. I started that wave, of course, with Brock Purdy, and my man's got me here, so it's 2 against 1, we win. That being the case, there's a Dallas side to this, right? And Dallas, of course, got exposed by the greatness of San Francisco on both sides of the ball. But now what I do, I think what a lot of people do, now you got to look back. I got to figure out, well, Dallas was sitting there 3-1, feeling like we are world beaters. We would chance that to make a run to a Super Bowl. And now I go back and go, well, wait a minute. They beat the New York Giants, no disrespect. They're an embarrassment this year, one of the worst teams in football. They beat the New York Jets. In the moment, not a very good football team, maybe getting better now, but in the moment, not very good. And they beat the lowly New England Patriots, who've been outscored 1,000,000-3 in their last 2 games. So when I look at Dallas now, there's that old line of, from Rocky, right? Are you a paper tiger? Who are the Dallas Cowboys? Are they a schoolyard bully that, they can beat the Carolina Panthers by 40 and Micah Parsons have 5 sacks and 9 hurries? Or are they a team that got exposed by San Francisco?
It's a tremendous letdown for the Dallas Cowboys because moving forward, the scrutiny on this football team is only continue to get worse. Every interception that Dak Prescott continues to throw, we're going to put a necklace around his neck. And the defense is giving way too many big plays, and they just have to find some offense within this offense outside of CeeDee Lamb, which they don't have. And like I said earlier, they may be happy to make the playoffs.
Yeah, this is bottom line. This is a bad look for Dak. And we talk about it week 1 up until now. He wasn't forced to put on a cape, right? There was an opportunity in front of America against San Francisco 49ers to say, I'm worth the bag. Let me put the cape on and win you this game. You go to second half, you start off the second half, field goal, interception, and you lose the game, and you damn near get blown off the field. This is a reflection that, to your point, Plex, that Dak is right now regressed. He's behind the Niners offensively and behind Brock Purdy. Mike McCarthy looks bad because he lost to a more competent, more efficient offense, right? They look predictable because there's no motions. Dak's under gun, run. Dak's in the shotgun, pass. That's Pop Warner, right? We're talking about the Dallas Cowboys. So if you're Dak right now with Mike McCarthy in this offense, led by the higher up in Jerry Jones, you played an incompetent football game in front of America. Right now, I don't know how you come from that.
Yeah, and I think here's for me, it's one thing when you lose to a better team. It happens. Like that's sports. Better teams typically win games. There's always the outlier where they make a mistake, like Baltimore this past week, not beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. Here's my issue with it from a Cowboys standpoint. They didn't adjust at all.
Nothing.
I mean, the only thing they did, if you call us an adjustment, was instead of the little quick 2.5 second, release out of Dak's hand, we're going to let him throw the ball deep. And you know exactly what happened when he threw the ball deep. He threw it to nobody,
but
right?
not even that, Craig, on the defensive side of the ball, right? You talk about what Dan Quinn was able to do. He shifts from the zone to man, right? Because of the loss of Stefon Diggs, he was forced to play more zone. Michael Parsons was neutralized. We talked about that on top of that. Now with the loss, now you're talking about going into the Chargers. Now you have to think about him because of Vander Esch being on IR now. Now you're talking about Michael Parsons potentially playing off the ball more than being a rush in, which hurts this defense because his best asset is getting after the quarterback. So I'm looking at this Cowboys defense. They're in a lot more trouble than expected.
Look, and now we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys playing on another national stage against the Los Angeles Chargers on Monday Night Football against another explosive offense. How is that going to look?
Well, I tell you, if they get beat down and give up 35 points to the Chargers can do it like that against anybody. All of a sudden, now you're reeling. Now you're a 500 football team, and you look back and you say to yourselves, we're only good enough to beat really bad football teams. Who are we? And I promise you this, Jerry Jones is not going to come out publicly and say that Mike McCarthy should take some bows because he's doing a tremendous job and that Dak Prescott is the best quarterback to lead a team to a Super Bowl.
I'm just looking at this season and how it's going so far offensively for the Cowboys. Mike McCarthy pretty much threw Kellen Moore under the bus. We're calling this.
That's right.
Yep. Made him scapegoat, exited him out the door, and now he's the play caller for this West Coast, Texas Coast, whatever you want to call it, offense. and it stinks. So he has nobody to blame but himself.
Yeah, it's interesting, though. I will ask one question before I get to the Cincinnati Bengals. Is there any way San Francisco makes the run?
No.
The Patriots-style run.
No.
And does not lose a game this year?
No.
Of course they can. I mean,
that's my guy.
I mean, of course, look at the weapons around them. Look at what they look like. First of all, on the defensive side for the Niners, Fred Warner's a dog. If you're looking for dog in the dictionary, you're going to see Fred Warner's face. Bottom line, the way he does in the middle of the field with him and Dre Greenlaw on top of that secondary, we know who Bosa and company, but that linebacker core with that secondary, the Niners are the most complete team in football.
Anything's possible.
Yes.
I mean, anything is possible. No, it is possible because they are undefeated. Until they lose one, it's possible. But I will tell you this. When they get to Philadelphia, the Eagles are going to take this game very personal because they know that it is a great possibility that they are going to see these guys again in the NFC Championship game.
And I'll say this, if anyone takes that game personally, it's San Francisco because they got screwed on the Hassan Reddick sack on Brock Purdy in which he tore his UCL. We've got the wall of receipts here.
Once you put that up, you can't take it down.
Once
you put it up, you can't take it down.
I'm putting it up.
I ain't even got no receipt up there.
Well, that's on you.
That's
Say
on you.
things that are
That's self-inflicted.
The Eagles will beat the 49ers in November.
I will get to that in a few
Well,
minutes. Here we go. The 49ers go 20-0.
What?
That's on the table.
Oh, on the table? That's not a take? That's not a take. You can say on the table.
That's a take.
Oh, come on.
Put it down there.
On the table, no.
Put it
No, guarantee it. That's a violation.
You got to guarantee it.
That's a hall of a take.
That's a
on
take.
the table. Everything's on the table.
20-0 though.
What's not on the table?
Fair enough. Hold on.
You got to guarantee it.
There you go. There you go. Cross that out.
Bottom line,
49ers go.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Well, we'll have that fixed for you by tomorrow. Don't worry about it. All right, we got much work coming your way. We got all the headlines, including last night's embarrassing loss by the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love with 1, 2, 3 interceptions, and the Raiders get back to 500, and they save their season, plus more on Dallas and a lot of other stuff right after this.
Good morning and welcome back to the Carton Show. We have your early morning headlines, and it starts with last night's game that was honestly kind of boring, but the Raiders won, the Packers lost. Mr. Carton, is this more about the Raiders saving their season or the Packers' season in jeopardy?
That's a really good question. Neither one of these teams are any good right now. Sometimes you win in spite of bad coaching. And I know Jordan Love threw 3 interceptions, and that's a big reason why the Raiders won the game. But they overcame one of the most brain-dead decisions I've seen in a football game since I saw Mario Cristobal not take a knee against Georgia Tech this past weekend on Saturday for the U down in Miami. Just real quick, the Raiders are not very good. They're up 17-13. That's a 4-point lead. They've got a 4th down. They have a choice, kick a 52-yard field goal or 4th and 1.5. Go get the first down and end the game.
Get the first down.
Now remember, if you don't make the kick, you're up by 4. Green Bay's got 2 minutes to go, plenty of time, and have to go about 45 yards to beat you and steal a W. This is an opportunity to tell your offensive line you believe in them. To tell the best running back in football last year, Josh Jacobs, you believe in him to get 2 yards and end the game. Josh McDaniels goes for the field goal. They miss the field goal off the right cross, upright right there. Sure. And all of a sudden, you're up by 4, 2 minutes to go. And guess what? Green Bay's got a short field and a chance to steal a victory from you. Now, it turned out that they didn't. And the Raiders win the game. But that's one of those decisions that no one's going to talk about 2 months from now because it just looks like a W. And it's Josh McDaniels again proving he is a lousy head coach in the NFL.
Yeah, Craig, when you go back to earlier this year, you talk about Devontae Adams after losing to the Steelers. What did he say? He goes, I don't have time to wait to play winning football.
Right.
Well, he just wasn't talking about the guys in the locker room. He was talking about his head coach, too. When you talk about as an offensive lineman, 1 yard, that's in the pocket. We can get you that, right? If we can't get you 1 yard in the NFL. We shouldn't be in the NFL.
That's it.
So this is Josh Daniels really failing his team in a crucial moment. Because if they do, they were able to win this game, that's only because Jordan Love threw that big pick.
Yep.
But nevertheless, you left your team hanging and dangling in the wind for a W that they kind of squeezed out the building in front of Mark Davis and his pretty girlfriend.
Yeah.
I hate it, man. I hate it because they have to be better, and they're not better, and it's because of lack of,
real quick,
having nuts in the moment.
Watching that game, we're not the only ones saying it. The owner of the Raiders in the owner's box said the same damn thing. Look at that. Yeah. That's him calling his head coach. I think I can say it, right?
Different part of the game. Don't say it.
Go for it, Court.
That's a different part of the game. But the same
Don't do it.
If I'm gone, you're gone.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Don't do it.
Moving on to our next big headline, and that is in the wake of the Patriots losing 34-0 to the Saints. Again, they lost 34-0 at home.
Pick it up.
Bill Belichick went on his weekly radio hit, and he was as eloquent as always. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, well, I'm going to do the best I can to help our football team. That's my job.
Do you find that your message is landing, or there's things that you need to change? Because the 38-3 loss was your worst that you'd ever had in 500 starts. And this week it appears that there wasn't that urgency to reclaim what the team's identity was.
Yeah, well, I'm going to do the best I can to help the team.
Okay.
He's special.
He's going to do the best he can to help the team.
Yeah.
I believe this is his last year as the head coach of the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
Do you agree, Mr. Carton?
Yeah, I do. I think it's a wrap after this year, especially because the edict that Robert Kraft put out publicly, which was not we have to win a Super Bowl this year. It was it's unacceptable not to make the playoffs. 3 out of the last 4 years now, they will be outside looking in when it comes to a playoff berth, and they're clearly going to be under 500 this year as well. Listen, the answer to what that means, I'm going to do everything I can to make the team better. Bailey Zappi's going to be the starting quarterback. Right. You can't keep going back to Mac Jones when he's a turnover machine right now. His confidence is shot, and their belief in him has to be out the window as well.
Just like the reporter just said, the message has landed. The New England Patriots aren't a very good football team.
Right.
And for Bill Belichick moving forward, I think he's beginning to understand that he cannot just take an average quarterback and turn him into Tom Brady. And Robert Kraft has to begin to accept that they are not going to make the playoffs.
Right, and that's the rub. Listen, there's an ego to all this. You guys have to have an ego to do what you do. Sure. We need egos to do what we do, obviously. But now it's reality. And it's one thing to say Bill Belichick's good enough to make an average quarterback a winner, but he clearly isn't. Or he picked the wrong average quarterback to try to win with. But the cupboard's bare. There's just not a lot of talent there. Their 2 best defensive players are out now, and they're hurt. Maybe not for the entire season. Yeah. I know the kid rookie is.
Christian Gonzalez.
Gonzalez, he's out for the year. I'm not sure if Judon's out for the year, but it doesn't matter. It's a wrap, and it's a wrap on a legendary career as well. And here's the reality. Because he is so douchey in these moments in press conferences and with the average fan out there, no one's going to cry for him. We're going to celebrate the end of the Belichick reign of terror against the AFC out of New England.
And this is the guy, Judon, who we was talking about before the season started. He was calling this defense full of a bunch of unicorns.
Right.
Well, they out there look like some sheep is what they're doing right now.
Well, I get you guys are talking about one thing Belichick had, I think, different from the rest of the NFL, especially head coaches outside of being a GM. He had his own developmental system, right? He had his own way of finding guys, bringing them in, whether it was Edelman, Wes Walker, or whoever, making those guys stars. He hasn't accomplished that.
But that's what Tom Brady is quarterback.
I get that, but my point is, even without Tom Brady, there were still guys. You talk about I'm drawing a blank right now, but my point is there was guys even without Tom Brady that shine, right? You're talking about a guy who Bill Belichick thought, at least I thought, and Bill Belichick did a great job of making. Not Matt Castle, somebody just said that in my ear, I apologize. But my point is, outside of that, man, he seemed like he had a knack of making the roster better, and he didn't. So this is on him.
I think the ego with Bill Belichick when he drafted Mac Jones with his 15th pick, he didn't think that he didn't believe that he was the best quarterback in that draft. His mind says, you know what? I'm gonna take this guy. And everybody's saying that I'm winning all these championships because of Tom Brady, and I'm going to show you that I can make Mac Jones a great quarterback.
Yeah, 2 things happened there. I'm sorry, Jacob. The first thing that happened that hit the mystique of Belichick was Brady winning a Super Bowl in Tampa. Now, yes, that was a very good team that needed a quarterback, but that immediately changes the dynamic of who get chicken and egg, right? Yeah. And obviously Brady won that battle. The second thing is, why Mac Jones? Because Nick Saban's his best friend. And Nick Saban's like, we got all these great Alabama quarterbacks. And here's another one. Trust me, this guy's going to be money good for you. I've had him for the last 4 years, and it just hasn't worked out. And this is going to come to an end, and Dolphin fans are going to celebrate, and Jet fans are going to celebrate, and Bills fans are going to celebrate, and everybody in the league is going to celebrate the demise of Bill Belichick. I think so for all these years. I've always wondered, for a guy that hates the media, and trust me, he hates the media, why do a radio show? I've never understood that. The guy makes he makes $20 million a year as the coach of the Patriots. Does he need another $250? And that's what he gets for it.
Helps. Let me ask this question.
I guess it does help.
We're all in agreement. We're all in agreement this is his last year as head coach of the Patriots, but do we think this is his last year as a head coach? Because that's the one I'm not sure about.
I think the only way he coaches outside of New England, because now he's forever united with New England Patriots and all that success, would be to do what Tom Brady did. Go to a ready-made team whose coach just couldn't get it done, a team that has a quarterback and a team that has a great defense. The Cleveland Browns could be that team. The Chargers, in theory, could be that team. Or at 70-something years old, Bill Belichick might also say, at some point, I want to enjoy a good 10 years of my life outside of football. Now's the time.
I believe that the only way that Bill Belichick is not coaching his team next year is when we turn on the TV one day and when we see on the bottom of the screen that Bill Belichick has resigned, because I don't believe that Bob Kraft will fire him.
Yeah, but I think Bob Kraft will go to him privately and say, listen,
sometimes.
Here's the deal. I need you to resign. I don't want to fire you.
That's how it's going to happen.
I agree
I don't think he's going to fire.
Now, imagine this. I can tell you one thing about my time with Bill Belichick in Cleveland many, many years ago. When he wants to be, he is the most outgoing, personable, funny guy you have ever met in your life. So would Bill Belichick suddenly turn that personality on and come to Fox or another network and be a commentator on football? That would be a major change for a guy that is miserable when he does radio and TV spots as an active head coach. I've seen him at a comedy roast where there's 5 professional comedians roasting whomever, and Belichick is the funniest guy in the room. I've seen it.
Well, he's only said one thing that I laughed at. Somebody asked him a few months ago, they say, Bill, what kind of beer do you prefer? And he said, anyone that's cold. And I was like, maybe he does have a little bit of sense of humor.
And maybe not.
Maybe not.
Moving on, the Bengals looked great this Sunday, and that naturally asked the question of Jamar Chase. What do you feel about that? And here's what he had to say.
I mean, we're just taking a step closer to who we really are. Like I said, we keep facing adversity this year. This is not going to be an easy season. Right now we're just taking step by step until the next week.
He feels like they're back. Do you guys feel like the Bengals are back?
We back.
I think that Jamar Chase is a wizard, is what I think. Because I go back to August, and Jamar Chase said, I think that Joe Burrow should sit out until week 5. We'll be fine, and in week 5 we'll start the winning. Well, this past Sunday was what?
Week 5.
And Joe Burrow looked the best he's looked by far all year, throwing the ball deep with authority, scrambling for 15-yard gains, and the leg is not a problem. Jamar Chase had this thing pegged from Jump Street. They saved their season. Baltimore helped by losing to Pittsburgh. So now the Cincinnati Bengals, with all the injury problems with Joe Burrow, are now a game out of dominating this division.
What did he say after the game last week, Jamar Chase, wizard?
He's a wizard.
I'm always open.
Yeah.
And
guess what? And he was a wizard on that field on Sunday.
Yeah, but this is also Jamar Chase circling the Arizona Cardinals without Kyler Murray. So he said if there was a game we can get in and
I didn't worry about Kyler Murray. They're just not a good football team.
I'm just saying he pissed them out. He said we can beat them without
Cincinnati Bengals are going on a run.
And what they did is we all, when I close my eyes and I see the Bengals offense, I see Burrow going deep to Chase. And we did not see that week 1, 2, 3, or 4. And last week we did. And the numbers back that up. Everything that he's done deep down the field, weeks 1 through 4, just non-existent. Look at the passer rating weeks 1 through 4. Sunday against Arizona, 102. And hopefully they can keep that up.
Yeah, but let's also, this is an interesting game now, right? So they beat a bad Cardinal team. The offense looks money good, and he's back, and the calf's good. And Jamar Chase is thrilled. Like you said, in your career, you never had 19 targets in a football game. Maybe 7 or 8, right? Yeah. But they play Seattle. And this is going to be a great test because how good is Seattle Right now, they're in second place with only one loss behind San Francisco, and they've kind of found their mojo again after a slow start. That's right, beat the Lions and scored 30 points in an overtime game a couple weeks ago. And they're well rested. And now you have to play Joe Burrow. So we're going to learn a lot about the Bengals in this game. Can the Bengals get to 500, get everybody healthy, and then go through that back-to-back gauntlet of San Fran and Buffalo?
Let me say this. If the Cincinnati Bengals beat the Seattle Seahawks, if they go to San Francisco and they lose by a field goal, that's going to tell you a lot about the Cincinnati Bengals.
Fair enough.
And where they are as a football team. No, because it says it's at San Francisco.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That's right. So they're able to go there and keep it close. Even if they lose, they will be.
If they go out there and beat them, then we really, it's going to be a different story.
Yeah, look, and when you look at it, even though Houston's playing decent football with C.J. Stroud, San Fran, Buffalo, and Baltimore, 3 out of 4 weeks. No disrespect to your Steelers, they're not that level yet. If they could come out of those 4 games, even 500, then the Bengals are going to be a problem.
Yep. Yeah, the bottom line with Joe Burrow, man, I love the fact that he's doing the whirly birds. He's throwing with the football, man, but they got to get Joe Mixon into that offense. He played better Sunday, but that's going to help Joe in the pocket as well.
And the other wide receivers, because I know the other wide receivers are saying, listen, I know you threw the ball to him 19 times last week. I play on this team, too.
Yes.
Tyler Boyd.
He did throw, I think, 46 passes in that game. And he's averaged about 40 in the last 3 weeks.
And 19 with Jamal.
Yeah, if I'm a wide receiver, I'm like, my man, I'm open to it.
Look over here sometime.
All right, we're going to move on to our final headline. That involves another team that went into San Francisco and tried to beat the 49ers. Of course, we'll talk about the Cowboys. They got waxed 42-10, embarrassed on national television. Dak had 3 picks, but for some reason, head coach Mike McCarthy is still a glass half full guy when it comes to the domination.
Well, I would not say I'm concerned or worried at all. I think these are opportunities to grow, no doubt about it. I mean, I think adversity gives you a tremendous look inside and makes you answer more questions and to make sure you got the right answers.
Craig, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the Dallas Cowboys are at a crossroads. When you beat the Giants, the Jets, and the Patriots, who have you really beaten, right? At the time they beat them.
Sure.
And, of course, they blew them out. Those games weren't even close. So it was kind of like you got puffed up, but it wasn't based on anything. You played a really good, maybe the best team in all of football, and you saw the difference between where the Cowboys are at on both sides of the ball as compared to the elite team in the NFL. What's interesting now is that they get the extra day. They play Monday night on the road against the Chargers. They are favored in this game against the Chargers. But here's the problem for them. I don't believe and trust the Charger defense, so I will not be surprised if Dak bounces back and has a much better game against the Chargers. Here's my concern now from a Dallas standpoint. Is their defense going to be able to stop a legitimate passing offense, right? I know we thought the rub on Dallas's defense was that their run defense stunk, especially in that game against Arizona, where they gave up over 200 yards on the ground. I'm now looking at them saying, if an offensive line can protect the quarterback the way I saw San Francisco do it and kind of neutralize Micah Parsons, the Cowboys cornerbacks are not great anymore because you lost your best cornerback.
Right.
Chargers have multiple wide receivers who can beat you not just over the middle, but beat you deep. And you've got a quarterback who's got as good an arm as anybody in the league. This would be a real test of that Cowboy defense.
Well, like Mike McCarthy just said, you definitely have another opportunity to grow this weekend. No doubt. But it's against the Los Angeles Chargers and their offense. But moving forward with this Dallas offense, I can see Mike McCarthy being a little more tentative with Dak Prescott because he doesn't want him to lose football games.
Yeah, but you talk about the Dallas defense that was only giving up 10 points a game. Now against the Niners, they gave up 21 points in 6 possessions, right? So you're talking about a defense right now that's really struggling to find out who they are because of the lack of production from Micah Parsons. If I'm the Chargers, man, let it rip. I wouldn't hold back from anything. And you talk about Herbert, Kellen Moore leading that offense, man. I think optics matter. Sunday was bad, but they have another bad performance, man. You talk about Mike McCarthy being in the hot seat.
Ooh.
Man,
I can see the defensive guys on the sideline fighting with each other.
Yeah, it could get very ugly. Now, the only deal with the Chargers right now is that they've become very one-dimensional. Yeah. They don't run the ball often or well. Josh Kelly is now their featured back. Austin Eckler's only played one game for them, so they are going to throw the ball 50 times. And we're going to see just how good that Dallas Cowboys secondary is. Right now, I do not believe in them, and you cannot trust them against a quarterback that is as good as any quarterback you're going to see this year.
We always talk about Dak Prescott, and they weren't winning because of him weeks 1 through 4, and they needed to in week 5, and we saw what happened, 3 picks. And
they're going to defense let them down too.
Yeah, but Jacoby makes a good point because week 1 we saw Tua go pound for pound with Herbert, right?
Yes,
because
we did.
We saw the Miami defense not be able to perform until that last blitz where they sent the house, and that's what got them to win. Dak Prescott, if he gets in a shooter with Herbert, man, he may lose.
That's what I'm saying. He may lose.
No, but I'm trying to back Jacoby's point on this. Like, we don't know if he has that capability this year. We knew Tua had it because he showed it to us. We don't know if Dak has that. And he had an opportunity to show it Sunday, and he underperformed. He didn't give us what we wanted.
Yeah.
Based off of what I just saw last week from that Dallas defense, if I'm Staley in that Chargers offense, I'm coming out in 4 or 5 wide receivers. And I'm throwing the ball
exactly.
all
And then you end up with the Cowboys behind
because
and
they
Dak
showed
with the
that
ball
they can't.
needing to score.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You haven't seen that until last week. It didn't look good.
Look, I'll tell you something else. Outside of CeeDee Lamb, I'm just looking at the stats here on my screen. Who else is going to be step up? Nope. Like, who's the second wide receiver?
Right?
It was supposed to be Gallup.
Yeah,
he's been non-existent.
Week 4, he was good. Every other week, he can't get.
Yeah, this is not like we all talk about Dak Prescott. All of a sudden, when you look at the Dallas Cowboy offense, there isn't a second star that's come out saying, I'm open, throw me to rock. Meaning, if I double CeeDee Lamb, who am I worried about? I ain't worried about anybody.
Craig, like I talked about earlier, part of that because they're predictable, right? Like, there's no way you look at the way the culture of the NFL is, and you look at the Dolphins with all the motions. You look at the Niners who you played against with all the motions. You've got to change it up on offense if you're Mike McCarthy. What you displayed ain't it, and it shows you at a high level. If you got Michael Gallup and Cooks and all these guys, you got to move them around. You got to get this defense off kilter. He has yet to do that.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the Dallas Cowboys, especially when you think that here they are when they were 3-1, now they're 3-2. They only have 2 touchdown passes to wide receivers.
Yep.
Right? This is not an offense that's able to match great offenses. And when you have a defense that's now susceptible to the big play like they are, you are right, Plax. There's a real danger right now that the Dallas Cowboys might not make the playoffs. We'll get into it much more tomorrow. Thank you for watching FS1 and the Carton Show.